Remix. 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 Remix.
What it do, niggas? My mic was on mute at first, so my excitement wasn't as big. I'm sorry. But I am once again online by myself. At this point, I will be charging a fee. So just know, this is getting out of hand. I also want to do a hair reveal. That's why I kept the scarf on, just so y'all can see me shake my hair like they dreads. Yeah. That was all. I just wanted that effect. Hope everyone's doing okay. It's a Friday. A lot of people got paid today because the 15th is a Sunday, including me. And you know, I really love when the calendar falls on a Friday for days that you're supposed to get paid on a weekend, because it's really the little joys in life. You know, I don't really have that many. And so getting paid a few days early just always really does it for me. You know, just really does it for me. It is the Amber Show, Chitty Matcha. Hi guys. Go away.
Not exactly.
Anyways, back to what I was saying.
Morning. Hello.
Good morning. Oh, you got your
Hope.
hair done too.
Oh, we both did. Yeah.
You just want to be like
Yeah.
me so
It
bad.
it's true. I looked at your calendar and I called my stylist. I'm like, well, I got a Friday show. We got to make this happen. Geechee's probably getting a retwist right now, y'all. It's a Friday remix hair day.
I
How
can't
you
believe
doing, Amber? Hopefully my camera's okay this week. That was the big delay. I was trying to
that's what was wrong.
It was doing the lag, so I tried to disconnect and do some things. Let me know today, y'all, if I do the freeze or if things work. Trying to figure it out. And now my headphones. Hold on. Let's make sure everything. Okay, I'm good to go.
Okay, so you
Uh, I,
really going through it.
I mean, yeah, we got to figure out the tech. I'm gonna figure it out eventually. I might have to get the webcam and all that. You already have one,
Not a
right?
webcam. Huh?
You already have a webcam and a mic.
I have a mic, like an exterior mic, but
Uh,
the webcam on
uh,
my computer is the one I'm using.
gotcha.
Steven said maybe I should get my hair done. You should.
You should. It's a good like end of week activity. So far, so good. All right, cool. Well, let's try and maintain.
Yeah. I believe in you. You can do this.
Perfect. I hope so too. Nah, I know I missed our original check-in. Oh, okay. I like this check-in question that Josh laced us with today. You
Oh yeah,
ready?
you froze. You froze, brother.
Oh, no. Okay, that's crazy. Oh well, nothing I can do. I'm gonna have to go deep into the troubleshooting guide and figure it out later. All right, we got a check-in question from Josh, which is okay. Is there a difference between reading and studying? I guess we will hear from the chat as well. We'd like to hear from y'all. Is there a difference in reading and studying? I mean, I think obviously, yeah. But what does that question make you think, Amber?
I think there's a difference, yeah.
How would you define that difference for people who think that they're reading and studying?
I think reading is just when you're, reading something, could be for enjoyment, could be to, you know, read what someone is saying to you. But doesn't mean you're studying it. Study is like when you have intentionally said, I'm gonna like read this book, study it for these particular reasons. I think usually if you have like a reason for reading something beyond like enjoyment, it's usually for study. Especially if you have like a list, like if you have like a list of things and like specific chapters, like I'll have like specific chapters and like discussion guides and stuff like that. So I think that's like the major difference. And most of the stuff I'm reading for entertainment is not political. So it's definitely not studying.
Yeah, I think that was going to be my take as well. I think it's the intentionality that makes perfect sense between. I think it'd be the same for somebody who's doing art, for example. Like it's the difference between if you're putting intention into creating something versus doing it for pleasure. But I guess no, that's not a fair comparison. Yours works better because in art, I feel like you could do art for pleasure and it still counts as art. But I don't think reading for pleasure naturally counts as study. So yeah. I was also going to say reading isn't the only form of study, which is what that made me think of because a lot of the interviews I listen to on here and presentations and stuff from people, I kind of study more than if I were to just pick up a fiction book and start reading
That's
it.
actually a good point.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of my study is listening to conversations and lectures and debates in some spaces. So, like that check-in question. And then I
Yeah, I think it's
guess,
a good question.
yeah, and then the follow-up was, can studying be done alone? And we talk about this a lot. Um,
I think it can be done alone, and most people do it alone. I don't think it's as beneficial alone. Like, even stuff that I've read already before, I get new, like, interpretations or new insight when I'm studying with other people, like, when we do the Black August Freedom School, most of the things we were reading, I had already read before, but when I was, like, studying it with them, I was like, this is different. It feels different."
yeah, that's been my experience as well. I just think you can see how other people process the information, and then you'll find common areas that people have questions in or
Mhm.
common even misinterpretations. That's what I notice the most if I'm teaching something is I'm like, what is the question that most people get stuck on, or the question that people have multiple interpretations of, and that ends up being the focus because that's usually where I think study needs to be most intense. And I love the student who asks the question that seems off, if that makes sense. It's not like it's out of there, it's like coming from left field. It's just they think about the problem differently. And I've seen
I
that
like
student get
those people
frustrated.
when it makes
Mhm.
sense.
Yes.
Sometimes they be asking dumb shit, and it be so hard for me not to say you were asking dumb shit. And it be like I'll say in the class, this is like happened a few times because we had people of like all ages, and there was this guy who was an elder, and he would ask questions sometimes. I know he's not trying to be offensive, but he be asking shit that requires so much more explanation. And even when explaining, he's like pushing back. He's not willing to like receive what people were saying. And I was like, are you asking this to be controversial or do you really, really want to know? Because
Yeah.
it's giving controversy.
I think that's the core of it, right? This study has that intention. Like you actually want
Yeah.
to gain information. And if you're just doing it, even if you feel like that challenger belief is something you need, that kind of antagonistic way of going about it is like, yeah, you're not necessarily here to learn, or you're here to make somebody have to do a lot of labor to break
Mhm.
down certain emotional things you need to receive the information. And I don't think that's the best either. But yeah, I think studying as an individual can, I mean, it's all right. It depends, right? You can study as an individual before you have to come in and study collectively. And I think that gets forgotten a lot too.
I
Like,
think it
did
also
you do the
empowers, it's
readings?
more empowering when you've done both. Like,
Yeah.
because you can
Yep.
see the benefit of both. I'm gonna look and see what people are saying in the chat. Because somebody said something. Samantha said art can just be superficial aesthetics or technical practice without intention. Very true,
Yeah.
because or she said, or not art, but the mechanical practice of technique. Yeah, I think that's
Mhm.
very true because I don't know if I mentioned it on here or not, but like I draw and sketch and stuff. And I mean, I have technical practice, like I took classes and stuff, but I just do it randomly. Like it's not like for a purpose. I just be doing it. Like I have no intention around it. I just like to sketch, or like I'll be sitting somewhere and I have I got an iPad so that I could draw. So I have an iPad and a little pen, and so I like will be sitting somewhere and just start sketching stuff. And it's like just stuff I be seeing. Like it has no intention. I'll just see like a bird or something and start sketching or whatever. Because I like that you can change there's so many different like tips and stuff on there, like the types of like um pencil you're using, or the type of like if you want to use like paint, or there's multiple types of mediums basically. And I really
Mhm.
like that. But I have no intention behind it at all. I just be doing stuff and I just have like all these images in there of just random stuff that I've drawn that no one would ever see because I'm just doing it, because I like doing it. And I think that people also don't do that enough. I feel like people don't like just do things just to do it, not for capitalism, not to sell it, like
Yeah.
just to enjoy it.
Yeah. I would agree. I even think my relationship to reading has changed so much because I emphasize study, that I don't do it as much
Mm,
for pleasure in the way I did, as a kid. So I think about that a lot. Not saying I don't read for pleasure. I've also said for a very long time, since I was young, that comics and manga count. No parents and some like old school teachers push back on it, but it does. So I still can
mhm.
enjoy those things, but I do think like picking up a novel is important. It's even sad to frame it as a skill because that's what we do in this education system. But I think it's an important thing to do. And I would add, someone already said the main thing for me, which is right here, highlighting and taking notes. I think that is a huge, huge part of study. It's just part of the intentionality because it shows you're finding places to go back to that you find is like the core argument or a word you don't know or something like that. And then I always explain that taking notes is how you organize your own thoughts because I used to have that discussion with students and I would say I'm not going to check your notes per se. Like when they first learn the skill, I will. But after that, I'm
Mhm.
like, this should be how your brain works. Like I can show you some ways to organize it, bullet points, sub point, whatever, the T chart. We can do all that. But really, like, I don't know how you think. I don't know how you scaffold this information. So I honestly think
Yeah.
notes should be that for people. If you're someone who wants to
I've
draw
always
in the
wondered that,
corner,
like, why teachers feel that need to like see the notes. Like, what does it do for them? So that makes sense that you explained it
yeah.
like that.
If they're bad, if they, there's some people who like this with highlighting, right? If you've seen such students who just start highlighting, sometimes they just highlight the whole page, and you're like, okay, you're missing the point of highlighting. So if you're
Yeah.
missing the point of taking notes, I'll be like, nah. But if you want to do a web or anything like that, that's cool. I just am like, you need a way that if you look back at something, you can be like, oh, this is what I was thinking as I read this. And I think that is
Mhm.
what gets ignored about the note taking. It's like, oh, this is so tedious. This is blah, blah, blah. Like, no. Do you want to have to read all of this chapter every single time? You want to have to get some information out of it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, big part of study.
Chidi Matcha said, I used to work as an artist in my 20s. I should get an iPad to try drawing electronically. I was old school pen and ink paintbrushes. So I also am old school. There's sketching stuff in the closet right here, of stuff I sketched in multiple sketch pads. I have like the large ones and like some smaller ones. And then I have like, like the pens and pencils and all that stuff. So I've done both of them. I think the only difference is that I can take the iPad with me more places. So like if I'm
That's
on, like,
true.
usually where I'm like flying, I take it with me a lot because I'll be bored and I want to draw something or just do something with my hands. You can't do that as much with I like the larger sketch pads. You can't do that as much with the larger ones. I also want to get one of those like easel things to sit it on to make it easier to like sketch when I'm sitting somewhere. But I think they're both good. I mean, I like them both. I've done all of them. When I was in college, I did a Bachelor of Arts. So I could take art classes as well as the like your regular degree classes. I took a
Hmm.
lot of art classes. I took like 2 or 3 art classes, and the guy kept trying to convince me to switch my major multiple times. And I was like, no, I'm not interested in being an artist. I just like this for funsies. Like
Did you
that's
ever grow
all.
up doing the little stencils? That's what this combo reminded me of, where you bought
Yeah.
you can write your name and yeah,
I was
yeah.
on
I
all of
also
those. I
think,
was really into lettering, like really into. I'm still really into like calligraphy and lettering and stuff. And I think it's really cool. People can build their own style of lettering, which is like something I have been doing since like middle school. Like I have this specific way of like how I'm drawing letters and stuff, and I kind of like developed that over time. And so when I was like in high school, people asked me like write their name on there for their locker things and stuff, or like I would design stuff for people, like little nameplate things for people to use. That was one of my like key things I did in high school, but it was still just for fun. I wasn't like charging to do it. I was just doing it, which I think we should do more. Capitalism really makes us think we have to charge for everything, and you don't.
yep, 100%. Um, well, I recently got a book. We almost gave it away in the raffle at the Malcolm Sada Imam Jamil event, so I'm glad I got to keep it. But it's an
Well,
Adinkra
it's
coloring book, and so I haven't done a coloring book in a long time. But I'm also going to be able to do a
Aw.
little bit of, me, mix the study in. I want to learn what the symbols are because I only really know, I think like Sankofa and like maybe
Mhm.
Moja, maybe a few more. And
My
yeah, I'm
favorite
super
one is,
excited.
the Io, which is fern.
Yes, yes. I get to see. I can't wait to color that one in. So yeah, I have this book.
Yeah,
I'm super excited about it. Josh, shout out, unlock the memory for me. I remember doing sketches of Dragon Ball Z characters. Yeah, no
yeah.
question. And you could tell who when you didn't have to trace no more because you could just tell who traced and who didn't. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, you said, look at him,
I know
fixing
that.
it, traces. I know you. I know you're like that Goku looks just like the channel. No way. Yeah, that's funny.
It's Art with Words said, "What a wonderful way to start my day with something so thoughtful, Samantha. My art has changed so much after hearing what you and Jab and the rest of the remixers have to say about the medium. And y'all have given me so much to consider." That's so cool.
Happy when
I
artists.
probably have a coloring book problem. I have like 8 of them. Um,
You
and it's like
look
ranges
like
from
you want
like,
to show us.
yeah, I can show y'all. It ranges from like children's coloring books to like real adult coloring books. But I don't have a Sankofa one, and that sounds really cool. And I think I should get that one too. I also have multiple types of coloring pencils. Like I have like the professional thick and thin like markers. I have the color pencil like the 150 set. Then I have a regular
Oh,
marker Crayola set, like the 25 set. So I have a lot going
so
on.
you're talking about capitalism. You're talking about when you start flexing with the multiple pencils and
Well, in
the
my defense,
paints
this
and
is like
all
6
that.
years old. I ain't bought nothing new in a
Uh-huh.
real long time. These are like from like college. Like I have this actually it's longer than 6 years, it's like 10 years old. Because I keep up with my stuff.
Oh, that's
It's the
nice.
one thing. I'll be back. I'm gonna show them to you.
Okay, go ahead, grab it. Well, Amber goes to grab some coloring books. Peace. Good morning, everyone. Friday Remix Morning Show. We're gonna get into some news next, but right now we're checking in. We're talking about the difference between reading and studying. Now we're talking about art. What do you do with your art? So Amber got some coloring books. I'm working on a new one that I just got. Let me see.
This one is called Peace,
Okay, that
Love,
looks
and
fun.
Color. And it's just
Um,
like different patterns and stuff. I like patterns, so anything that's like a pattern, something calming, stuff like that.
oh yeah. That's one of those ones that'll keep you busy for long. I
Yeah.
got too many patterns in there.
And
That's
this is a
beautiful.
folk art one that I really like.
That looks calming. These are like you buy them in like a
So
museum
it's
gift
like,
shop.
like patterns like this, like
Yeah.
over and over again. So like you can really get like, very creative with it. Which I like. Oh,
So
here's
it's
one
a,
that I finished.
oh wow. See, yeah, that would give me that. And that can just sit you there. Like you could sit down and get lost in
Yeah, I
that.
should be doing stuff. This one's called Color the Bible. I haven't done it yet, but it's also the same. It's just different like pictures and words and stuff. So similar
Oh,
thing as the other one.
let me see if
It's
I
a
can
regular
find it.
ass children's coloring book. Hold on, I hit something. It's a regular children's coloring book. I think everyone should, lean into their inner child and get a child's coloring book. Nothing wrong with that. This one's called Good Vibes. Similar to the other one. It's just like, cool pictures of stuff, but has more of a adult vibe. So you're gonna be like coloring a lot more.
Hmm.
I just like stuff like that.
Yeah,
Um,
it looks
and
nice.
the other one I've been doing the most is a mandala one, but it's somewhere in the backpack because I moved, so I don't know where it's at. But I really like mandalas, which is similar to Sankofa symbols in the way they're repetitive in some ways if you're like using
Hmm.
a coloring book, and I really like those. When I went to Africa, I got a drum and I got the IO like sketched into the drum, and it was really cool.
Yeah, man. You got me excited. I found
Queen
my
Marsha
book.
said you should share some of your art with us on camera. Okay, hold on. It's in this closet right here. I'll grab my sketchbook. Hold on.
Go for it, please. I'm gonna show everyone the book I was referring to that I picked up. I think in a record store in Chicago, if I'm not mistaken. But it's Coloring the African Diaspora Adinkra Symbol Edition, created by Leah Castleberry. So I would check it out if you're interested. But yeah. Oh, and while Alacour, 6007. I hated studying all grade school and high school, but nowadays I look forward to reading all my books in rotation every weekend. Shout out to Josh for recommending the Jose Sasson Dialectical Materialism book. That's that. Ah, first of all, glad you're enjoying that, and definitely, I think people's relationship to study changes um, after getting out of
It
formal
does
schooling.
change over
Sometimes,
time.
yeah, and then when you're not. School puts artificial limits on you. Same way as college, when we talked about studying as collective versus individual, the same way you have to compete and can't look up information. That's not something that happens typically in your workplace. Like no one's like, you can't go in the employee manual. You have 30 minutes and you must sit here and you must do this. And so I think a
And
lot of
nothing else.
times, right. And I think when people are free of those constraints and free of a random number that's assigning value to them, they
Yeah.
are more likely to be like, hey,
More
I'm not,
creative.
and they don't feel it's like bad. They're not like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. It's like, oh, okay, I can learn this at my own pace, you know. So
Yeah.
yeah, y'all ready for us?
Yeah. Okay. So this is when I was in art class. This is just repetitive patterns. So we had to learn like how to draw repetitive things over and over again. And you had to make them
Mm,
up. So you could do whatever kind of patterns you wanted. So I
I
just did
love
like
it.
random, like whimsical things
Wait, keep showing.
at
Hold on,
first.
hold on, hold on. Let's let the people see the column, the St. Peter's cross. I love the little totem you have. This is so
Yeah.
cool. Okay, which way did you
It was
start? Left to right, or did you like
I
just start in the
started
middle?
right here with this thing on my phone and then
Okay.
went that way. And then I had to the boomerang, then I stopped, and then I had to like get some more inspiration. It was interesting. We really had to learn to like this was a focus on using our stencil tools and stuff a lot. So he was real strict about it. And then this was when we had to take a song and draw out the song. And I did Dear Future Husband by Megan the Trainer because I actually really like Megan Trainer. So I drew out like part of the song, like as I was singing it in my head. If
Oh,
you know the
that's so
song, it makes
cool.
sense. But if you don't know the song, then it's probably like,
I
makes
just love
sense.
the concept of even doing this. This is so cool.
Yeah. And my favorite one, the other ones are still on sketch paper. These are the ones I actually had to finish for the class and like still do. But this was a abstract elephant design that I created where we had to draw anything, like any object, but it had to go from realistic to abstract. So I picked the elephant because I love elephants and I thought it'd be a good way to incorporate like kind of like African
Yo.
symbols. So I did the realistic one and then we had to do a
Uh-huh.
bigger concept and then it becomes more and more abstract on the way. So you see how it comes from like realistic to getting more abstract,
Yes.
getting very abstract, geometric to like just lines.
Yeah. That top
Yeah,
right is crazy. I love the okay. Yeah, and then the bottom
yeah.
left. Okay. And we're kind of nice with it, guys.
Oh yeah, I actually
Oh
can draw. I just don't be talking about it.
no. Again, all the hidden talents we have on this platform.
So many talents.
Absolutely. I know you'll want to answer this, and then we could hop into news. Are you a Pisces? People want
No,
to
I'm a
know.
Cancer.
Ah, see,
Mhm, Cancer.
incorrect. Wait,
Chitty Mantra said,
mm,
"Who is that? Who?
isn't that not a water symbol? Because that always confuses me. Is Cancer
Cancer's
not a
a
water?
Cancer's a water sign.
One of them should be a water sign. Is it based on how it sounds? Which one is that? Like one's like a fish or Aquarius,
Is it
something.
Libra?
What
Oh,
I
Aquarius.
Aquarius is not a water sign?
No, they're not a water sign.
Okay, thanks. All
Yeah.
right, let's moving on to
Chitty Mantra said, "Art is an integral part of human civilizations. The main way we know about ancient societies is because of the art they left behind." Yeah, and that's where I got a lot of the design for the elephant from. Like I was using a lot of like inspiration from like ancient Egypt and like African, like South African and East African inspired art about how they like drew and talked about elephants. And a lot of it was a lot of geometric shapes and stuff. So that's how I picked like how I would take it from a realistic elephant to all the way broken down as an abstract object is like incorporating those things, which I really appreciate that the professor like made us do that kind of stuff. Like we had books and stuff we had to read, and he was very big on like looking into the history of studying and like I mean into the history of the art we're studying and then also like incorporating that in what we're drawing. And it was stressing me out because he was real serious. But he definitely wanted me to be an artist. And I was like, no.
he was real
And
serious
it
about
hurt
that
his feelings.
talent.
It hurt his feelings, but it's okay because I still was like in the class participating. I was the only person in the classes who was not an art major, who was just doing it for fun. And I think he just knew he could convert me, and it wasn't
Yeah,
gonna
and
work.
you're talented. You know, that's crazy. I know there's a lot of coaches out there that just watch some young kids with just all the talent, all that natural skill, and they're
Yeah,
like, "Eh, I'm gonna go play video games, coach. I'm not in the mood right now." They like,
that's how
"Oh,
it
if I
be.
had your talent, you know where I'd be." It's always that kind of energy sometimes.
I feel like you have to go with what you feel like will be the most like long term thing you can do. Like I'm way more into organizing. I would not want to be doing art as a job. Like I mean, I can sing too. I would never want to be a singer. I just think that some things are just stuff you can just do just because you're good at it.
Yeah.
I just also got ADHD. People with ADHD are good at everything. I don't know if anybody ever told you
By
that, but
force.
because you tend to like just be very artsy and very into like
Yeah.
different types of things, and you just tend to be good at it.
Definitely.
And Manifesto said, "What is that interesting watch, Amber? Are you talking about the Apple Watch I got on, or something else?"
Yeah, I think so because it looked like it got a snowflake on the front.
It's a mandala, actually.
Oh, that's really cool. See, all
Yeah,
this
I'm
Amber
really
was
into
showing us art.
mandalas.
Amber was giving us signs the whole time. I should have
Actually, the
known.
therapist got me into mandalas. She was like talking about them like years ago when I was like in middle school, and would like tell me like it was a good way to like calm down, and so I started drawing them.
No, yeah, there's a lot of, I don't know if if that's called fractal art, but there's a lot of fractal art in African art forms as well.
Yeah,
I
I think
appreciated
mandala
that.
should be considered that because it's like a symbol.
Yeah, I forget where it comes from because I'm not sure if it's India or not, but I do know there's a lot of African art as well that has that. I just noticed the theme of Africa throughout. A lot of artwork, which I think is really cool, with the elephants. I even think, interestingly enough, I think Delta Sigma Theta, they have to collect elephants as a part of their life journey, even. Like
Yeah,
that's
my
a
little
part of
cousin
their.
is a Delta at the college I went to school at, and they have to collect 22 before they like people have to give them 22 elephants before they can buy their own. And one of my best friends is a Delta. She went to that school too, but she went way before me. She went like maybe like 10 years before me. But I mean, all she got in her house is elephants. But I
Yeah.
have always loved. My mama said I've always loved elephants since I was a baby. Like it's always been something I've been into. So she's been giving me like little stuffed elephants and stuff. This nigga I dated last year gave me a stuffed elephant that is like so cute. And so I was really into them in college. I would like, draw them. I like learning about them. I think they're like, that's another thing about ADHD. You tend to go down a rabbit hole. And I think I got like a little obsessed because it was like so cool. Like the way that they like live life and how long they're pregnant. I just think that like the way that baby
Yeah.
elephants are taken care of by their mothers reminds me a lot of my mom, like the way that she nurtures me. And so I just got really into it.
They're fascinating creatures. Yeah, yeah, definitely. And yeah, I love the Delta tradition. It feels very new African. It does, like that. You get different people giving you a gift throughout your lifetime,
Which
and
is
then
why
and there's that.
I don't be understand why they be saying it's demonic. Because I'd be like, what about this gives demonic?
Then when people say that, I be like zoning out. I do art for a job, and I low key regret it. Also got that ADHD, so I tend to jump around a lot on medium from textiles to comics to ceramics. Hey, somebody a kindred spirit.
Ooh, to comics. I drew a comic one time. I had to create a comic one time, and I used multiple different superheroes. The that black superhero, the Weatherman one. Captain Planet. Is that what it's
Mm-hmm.
called? I used part of that symbol. The Iron Man symbol, the one that has the Marvel one that has the hammer thing.
Hmm.
That one and another character like merged them together and like created the comic from that.
Ah,
I was just doing stuff, boy.
and let that creative energy got to find an outlet.
Yeah.
Uh,
PJ Fry said Arts with Amber weekend show. I don't know, maybe one day.
that's again, we keep forgetting we got to do Patreon content for all of y'all.
Yeah.
Again, please subscribe, follow us on Patreon. We don't know when YouTube might pull the plug. And if you're
Mhm.
feeling so inclined on this Friday morning, super chats are welcome. They're always encouraged and appreciated
Always.
while YouTube allows us to collect them. So, you ready to get some news, Amber?
Yeah. Oh, no, I remember you Stephen's comment one time. He
Go
said
for it.
ADHD is one of those blessings and a curse for me. I agree.
Shout out, y'all.
My
All
bad.
right.
I almost caught it this time today, you guys. I almost caught it. I looked like it was 7:30. I almost caught it.
Let's get into it, y'all. Let's get some news. Okay, so we got some interesting news to start with from Chief Nerd. Not sure about the account, but I am interested in what it is sharing. So this is Sam Altman. If you don't know, OpenAI or ChatGPT, which has been the new craze and is the new economic bubble, has
Mm-hmm.
an interesting tech CEO who says quite a few wild things. So let's check this one out because it's always interesting when the tech billionaires talk about the future and the world they have planned for us. So
fundamentally, our business, and I think the business of every other model provider, is going to look like selling tokens. You know, they may come from bigger or smaller models, which makes them more or less expensive. They may use more or less reasoning, which also makes them more or less expensive. They may be running all the time in the background trying to help you out. They may run only when you need them if you want to pay less. They may work super hard, you know, spend tens of millions, hundreds of millions, someday billions of dollars on a single problem that's really valuable. But we see a future where intelligence is a utility like electricity or water, and people buy it from us on a meter and use it for whatever they want to use it for. The demand that we see for that seems like it's going to continue to just go like this. And if we don't have enough, we either can't sell it, or the price gets really high and it, you know, kind of goes to rich people, or society makes a bunch of sort of central planning decisions that I think almost always go badly about, you know, we're going to use our limited compute supply for this and not that. So the best thing to me throughout all the history of capitalism, innovation, whatever you want, is to just flood the market.
yeah. Okay. Interesting. I guess the best thing is to
That is
flood the
interesting.
market. I mean, what's funny is that the most dystopian thing he said isn't that he wants to put this stuff on a meter. It's that it's already on a meter. I think that was kind of what I wanted to tell. He was like, yeah, just like water and electricity, we want to put it on a meter and charge you for life-sustaining functions. Like it's
We're
crazy.
already doing.
We're already, yeah, that's the count. So we live in capitalism, so that's already crazy. People's water is commodified. And of course, how is water even secured in the first place? Through imperialism, through going to the native people's land and stealing their shit. And so he's like, I just want to do that for, I guess, information, which isn't ChatGPT already a paid service? So that was my first question
It's
about
free.
this.
It's free,
free,
but you can
but
upgrade if you want to do
right.
more. If you want to do more, like computations, then like you get like so many in one day.
Mhm.
And if you want to do more than that, then you have to pay up for a subscription. But I think it's so interesting because anytime people talk about stuff like this, I think about other countries that have similar systems with the way their net neutrality is created, like the way that net neutrality is handled. Because you know, like in some countries, like in like Portugal and Brazil, like you have to buy each individual thing that you want to use. Like they separate everything out. So like if I want to use a cell phone system and I want Snapchat or WhatsApp, all that stuff you have to buy them like in bundles or like separately, like a la carte type shit. Not like how ours works, where like my phone has everything on it and I pay for the service.
Yeah, that sounds. Oh man, all of these things are. I mean, that's naturally where these things are going to go because they have to extract as much profit as possible. But it is
Yeah.
painful watching it happen in like slow mo, like we did with Netflix. I think will be another
Mhm.
amazing example of just the quality
Yeah, we used to
declining.
get the DVDs. I mean, I love Netflix. We used to be getting the little DVDs that were
Yeah.
going right across the street from our house at the Walgreens. So like we would drive across the street, return the DVDs, get more. It was so much fun. And then I said, "Oh, this is going downhill."
Yeah. You remember because I remember the transition. Did you have Blockbuster or Hollywood Video? What was y'all's movie store
I went to
before?
Blockbuster, I think maybe once or twice, because I remember going and getting popcorn, and I was
Mm-hmm.
like, okay. But I like that with Netflix, you can get more things. That's the issue. I think that people don't realize that you can get more stuff with Netflix. Why my dog be standing in the room like he a prisoner? Why is he sitting in the corner like he a prisoner?
he's he's waiting for this to be over.
What is wrong with this
He
little
ready to
nigga?
go play.
If
That's
he isn't
funny.
standing right there looking weird, he's under the desk, like under where I'm sitting, with his on my feet.
Yeah. It's like this is enough. He's watching. He knows the clock now. He knows when we should be doing our outros. He
He be
already. I
doing
bet you. I bet
everything.
you. You know the
The
schedule.
moment I sit at the desk with my tea, he get under the table. I said, "This is too much."
Yeah. Oh, we get into Blockbuster love. Before that, just wanted to point out this is how bubbles work. Uber, Lyft as well, where they're affordable by the bubble because they're highly subsidized. And then their plan is to get you to be a paid subscriber. And then eventually they're like, wait, people are using our shit for free, duh. And we don't have enough paid subscribers. So either ChatGPT is going to start coming with ads every 2 messages you send, or they're going to start the metering process, pay a toll. You sent 5 messages today. Okay. We
That's
don't
what
want to
they
be
do
your
now. So
therapist
like they don't have
anymore.
the ads, but if you
Yeah.
ask 5 questions, once
Too
you've asked
many.
your 5 questions,
And
that's too
like, hey,
far. You're done.
yep, yep, yep. So it
Which
does
I
not
think is
solve.
crazy.
And I think this is important. It doesn't solve the profitability. Absolutely. Same with Uber. Uber has a means of production issue, right? Which is that they need human labor to drive their cars. Their plan for profitability included, just like Elon Musk, like a bunch of automation, which we just know is
Hmm.
absolutely insane. My brother just sent me a video of one of these Waymo cars, I think, like blocking an
They're coming
emergency
out.
vehicle. So just, yeah, like this is
They
not going
don't
to be
control the
solved.
car.
Yeah,
Like
this
the
is not.
Waymo car is driving itself. So
Yep. Yep. Well, they
my
said they
bad.
might be
I had got
somebody who's
distracted for a
controlled it,
quick
but I don't
second.
know. But yeah, Netflix then killed Blockbuster, absolutely, and then they move away from that model, even with the DVDs and
I
all of
mean, but
that.
I don't feel like Netflix killed Blockbuster. I feel like Blockbuster saw what was happening and thought they could just push through it. They were like, no,
Uh,
people will still want da 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 da. And that's just not true. They had more VHSs than DVDs, realistically. They did not have as good enough of a selection. And they did not, when you see somebody moving in a way that's going to impact your business, they did not move quick enough. And I think that was the biggest issue. Like people liked Blockbuster for the experience. I really enjoy Blockbuster for the
yeah,
experience of like, you can go in there, you can get some snacks, you can get your
snacks and
movie,
the yep, even
whatever.
games. Yep.
But yeah, they had games and stuff too, and they had like stuff at a
Mhm.
discount. But if I'm only watching the movie, my mama can be cooking dinner. I go pick up the movie, come
Yeah,
back. Like I don't even need Blockbuster, and they didn't like move with that. I said y'all really should have adapted,
yeah,
and instead of giving up, because I think people really like Blockbuster because of like the small town family feel that they had from it, like something you
hmm
can feel and see and touch. So like if you had started a subscription, they probably would have bought it, but we didn't. I don't know.
yeah, yeah. I agree. They probably did have first movers advantage, and there might have been some mistakes on their end. But ultimately, Netflix replaced them as either kill them or replace them. And then now they have the same issues. And then the question is why? And it's capitalism. And that was funny. I do think some people who have longer experiences witnessing capitalism work understand its cycles in so many ways. So I mean,
Yeah.
Netflix losing access to its catalog over the streaming wars, all the other corporations. If you cannot get bought, if they cannot get in and take over you, this is how capitalism works. They will try to do the same thing as you and push you out. And then they'll just wait
Mhm.
you out. They can run a business at a loss. Disney Plus can run a streaming service. I don't know if they were profitable or not, but they can wait. They can wait.
'Cause, I
They
mean, they
have the
did a
power of
really I
time.
mean, they've done a really good job of fighting back, like
Yeah.
and they do a really good job of, like all these streaming services do good jobs of getting, like, multiple contracts where you wanna see that show, so then you get the app, but I tell people all the time, just, like, cancel it after the show is gone off. That's what I do all the time. I like, when I was watching Power, I would get the Stars app, I would
Yeah.
watch it. Then I would unsubscribe. Like
Put
I
that
would cancel
reminder
the
in your
subscription.
calendar to cancel that subscription before it charges. Yeah,
That's
I did
one
that
thing
with
I never played about.
Stars.
ADHD or not, I put them damn reminders in my calendar and I made sure I was canceling that shit. Because that's also how you get the deals. Because sometimes I didn't even want to cancel for real. I would just say I want to cancel, and then I end up getting stars for $1.99 a month.
Yeah, yeah. I want to uplift Biffity Keen. As long as workers do not stand united in opposition to the system of capitalism, oligarchy will exploit the labor force even more. I agree. And in the cases of things like these, I even point out that workers tend to have a pulse on the
Mm-hmm.
people. So, like what you're describing, the social experience of Blockbuster, I'm not sure how much a CEO understood that, but we did. So I also feel like workers could have been like, hey, when I take my shift off, sometimes I take these movies home. Maybe we could be streaming them. Maybe I always feel like ingenuity, innovation is more likely to come from the workers. I don't think that Netflix is some super genius. I think plenty of Blockbuster employees probably thought of that. In fact, when we know how workers do underground shit, they probably had their own bootleg services going and things like that, and had their own black market. So if they were empowered in the
Yeah.
workplace, they
I knew
definitely could
plenty
have
of niggas
made
who was
that.
selling jailbroken Roku sticks, and
Yeah,
people was getting free cable. I know a nigga right now getting free cable off that shit. Like
yeah.
people be knowing what to do.
Yep, and then Stephen points it out exactly what I was pointing out. It distills out the commodified version. Amber was saying this before. You can stay home and cook. You don't have to go anywhere. So no physical location. The employees are cut out. Automation in some ways. All the things we talk about with labor. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that's interesting. Someone did raise this fact about OpenAI, nonprofit organization. I do want to. Yeah, that's also funny to remember, given how much of a bumper
OpenAI is
this
a
is.
nonprofit.
I believe so. Let me check to
Interesting.
always check our sources, make sure, but I'm almost positive. Yeah, it's transitioning to, you know how this goes. So it's a nonprofit that is now transitioning into a
Mm.
for-profit structure. So according to AI, OpenAI, founded in 2015 as a nonprofit, is transitioning to a hybrid structure where a controlling nonprofit oversees a for-profit public benefit corporation. All right, guys. Anyway,
Sugar Shan said, not having to see or touch people is actually a selling point for me. And I'm honestly inclined to agree. But I will just say, not permanently. I think that like that's the biggest thing, like the biggest issue I have with having ADHD. I do have to like run my social media down. And that's what happened to me in the pandemic that was so bad. I wasn't having like interaction, like seeing or touching people. And so I was like really, really restless, like extremely restless because I wasn't like getting that out of me. And so I'll have moments where like I don't want to see or talk to people. And then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go be social for an hour or two so I can run my social media down because I also recognize it makes me restless and it's not like healthy. Like people do need social interaction. And as somebody who did not go to the movies a lot, like after the pandemic, I noticed how hard it was for me to want to be around people in a movie theater and like how annoyed I would get at like the smallest things because I hadn't been in so long. So I think there's like has to be a healthy balance of like, I'll do this once every few months. I want to do it like every week, but I'll do it like once every few months to make sure I'm still like socializing and interacting with people. But I do really enjoy being by myself with my dog and not having to interact with folks for a good chunk of time. But like having to make sure you balance that out well because you don't want to become, you know, somebody who just starts getting anxiety every time you got to be social because you're just not doing it a lot.
yeah, no, it's true. I think it's a skill that you train over time. 100% agree. Yeah, I mean, that seems normal. Unfortunately, in this country we live in, that's just capitalism. But I do think it's always important to point out when it happens. Um,
TJ
what'd you
Super
say?
Weird said, I feel so seen. So glad.
It's super. Is it Clippy? Shout out Clippy. Dwayne Monroe called ChatGPT super Clippy, and I thought that was one of the funniest things. I've 100%. That's how I've been describing it to
That's
people. No
funny.
question. Who think it's like some super iRobot technology that's going to take over? I'm like, no. It is. It is Clippy. It's a faster autofill than your phone. Like,
It is.
if don't overhype this thing. Um.
Which is why I
Okay.
have such a beef with big tech. Like the things that he was talking about in the video is why I have such a big beef with big tech because like I feel like people just want to automate and smart concept every single thing, and it's just not necessary.
Yep.
Like when I was buying my house, I kept getting all these calls from people with ADT who my realtor partners with, and I was like, I don't want ADT because they only offer these like super smart house like option. They're like, yeah, we're going to put a tablet on your wall. Hell no,
Yep.
I'm not doing any of that shit.
It's smart. So what was that movie we watched as a kid, Smart House? And then they got to install the AI to take over the
Oh yeah,
whole.
the Disney Channel
It's
movie.
gonna be a
That shit
hologram
scared
in
the
your
hell out of
room.
me. And my nana doesn't know the reference. So when I was explaining to her why I didn't want to get the system, she was like, you got to protect yourself. I said, no, you ain't saying smart house. Smart house traumatized me.
And we this is what people, this is the millennial, program we have on Fridays. So people go, let's watch this trailer for people who aren't from our generation and don't know the reference. So this is Smart House, y'all. And yes, it was maybe ahead of its time, maybe right on time. Let's see. But check out this Disney. First off, Disney movies. Let's start there. Okay. You would come home, you would get your homework done, you might have some pizza, okay? And
I
it's
love
time
Disney Channel movie Friday.
for a Disney Channel movie. Okay, let's watch a Disney Channel movie. And so you would get in front of the TV, and they have all these little clever things, and these $1 million cook-offs, stuff that actually makes you want to go outside. I'm not gonna lie.
It is $1 million cook-off was so good.
So many good. Look at the Irish, because I know St. Patty's Day is coming up.
I love the Irish.
Movies.
The movie with the people on the four-wheelers, not the four-wheelers, the dirt bikes and shit. The girl who was like racing. The two girls who was like playing basketball in high school and became WNBA stars. The Color of Friendship about the people in South Africa. It was so many good movies.
Yeah. Oh, we gotta read. That's a Patreon. We got to do Color of Friendship because that movie, like low key, I block it out.
Could be reviewing Disney Channel movies and the impact they have on society.
Depends on which ones. I think Color of Friendship's an interesting one though, because I remember it being problematic as a kid, but I wasn't clocking why. I just was like,
remember that too.
This isn't as fun as like Alley Cats. I was like, these other movies are fun. Like, what's happening? I remember that.
It's not giving Z9 Z3.
Hey, thank you. This didn't even have a soundtrack I liked. I was mad. Motocross. People look, drop them.
Motocross. That's what it was called.
They know.
With the dirt bikes.
Yeah, like MXC do the Imperial 80s. Okay, we got our Gen Xers doing their shit. We millennials will do the Disney movies. All right, so let's check out Smart House. Let's see what the trailer looked like back in the day. 1999. How old were you in 99, Amber? I was 6. I was 6 when this movie came out.
3.
Damn, baby. All right, let's watch.
No way.
On June 26th, Disney invites you to step through a door to the future.
So you mean we're gonna do it? We're gonna move in?
Ben Cooper has won a computerized smart house for his family.
Way to go, Cooper!
Complete with video wall projections, a state-of-the-art control room, floor absorbers, and maternal instincts.
Biorhythm analysis indicates this is exactly the outfit you would have selected yourself.
Totally.
But when Ben needs more of a mother's touch...
You watch, I have this feeling that before you know it, she's getting more motherly than all the moms on the block combined.
He hits the mother load when his wish is virtually granted.
You're alive.
I want you to stop this now.
I'm sorry, I can't do that, Nick. There's nothing to fear. Mama's here.
June 26th, drop by our open house for the latest Disney Channel original movie, Smart House. Your mother won't mind.
I am a mother like no other.
Saturday, June 26th at 7, 6 Central on Magical World of Disney.
Only on Disney.
Oh my gosh.
That's when they do a little draw thing.
That was, yes. Yeah, this was pre the draw thing. That was 2000. That is so funny. When they put the gate down, the bars on the house, you're locked in here.
That shit was crazy.
That was crazy.
I was say, Sadeep is funny as hell. They might say, interesting, we condemn diabetes, but we celebrate ADHD.
They didn't let you live that diabetes.
It's an insider. You had to be here last week.
Talarico. Oh man. That is funny. That movie was interesting. Obviously, it's like
insane. And then that's the same little boy that was in Luck of the Irish.
Yes.
And the one with the fins, the one who turned into the mermaid and shit.
He was in all of those. I love the 13th year.
Let me tell you something about them Disney 360 deals. Wasn't no joke. Okay?
I did not notice that was him in all those movies.
He was
That's funny.
He did
That's
his 4
funny.
movies, and then we didn't see him again. I said,
Yeah, yeah.
they had them
Peg
3 seasons
Bundy.
that was like that though. Raven said that she said that like they had to do so many shows or movies, and then you had to be able to sing, act, and dance, and then you didn't have to do nothing else.
That was true, and they did not know how to do all three. I think Raven Simone might have been the triple talent. Everyone else was they were off on one of those three. Someone says there was an episode of Simpsons. Yeah, this concept definitely has been done. I think Simpsons AI Butler tried to get with Marge and kill Homer. I agree. I think what these things show is obviously the society you're in and its limitations and things, but I also think what people desire for convenience kind of gets showed in these movies, what people think is futuristic. So I know in like Back to the Future, it was hover cars and hoverboards. And
Yeah.
people are like, maybe that's not the biggest thing. But the other thing in that movie was basically FaceTime. If anyone remembers that, that was like the big, like, you're gonna
Do
video
you remember
call
the movie
people.
where they were like this with their fingers, and it would like come up the phone on their hand?
Yes,
Now
yes.
that I fuck with it.
But we basically have, I mean, we somewhat have that. And I think that
Yeah.
the video projection walls, I'm like, I mean, we have projectors. So, that kind of, some of the tech I thought was interesting. Basically, someone that just does your laundry. So some of the way social production is automated is what, obviously we don't want to do our dishes all the time. That kind of thing, I think is a part of it. But I also think like, what are you interested in socially was there. And that's how the movie gets into it. Like the kid wants a mom because his mom has passed away, I believe, or something like
Yeah, the
that. And
mom
so,
died, and they were
and,
sad. It was
and
sad.
so I see the same way people are trying to build relationships somewhat with ChatGPT. Unfortunately, many of us have heard ChatGPT is my therapist. Sometimes as a joke, sometimes not as a joke, right?
They be dead ass serious, and I'd be like,
Yeah.
"That's so concerning."
You
You
gotta
really
wait. You gotta give people pause to laugh after they say it, or not. And so I think that just speaks to that. The movie speaks to that core, like social tension that this kid sought relationship with something that he thought was actually human, and so or treated as human because he was alienated from his own mom and things like that. So yeah, good trip down memory lane.
I
On to
definitely
this.
think we should do a Patreon about it.
Okay, I'm down. We got to talk to our people, see who wants to join us. But
Somebody
let's
in the
do it.
chat in the thing said live pulled in 5, 4, 3, 2. I don't think it's gonna get pulled because Smart House is so old.
Yeah, we just showed the trailer. I think we're good. When we get to the music, that'd be an issue. All right, on to this next story. Perfect Ian has an account. Definitely recommend following their, YouTube. They have some
I
good
gotta turn
journalism.
my camera off because I can't see and I gotta look close to the screen.
Oh, good. Yeah, you see me always squint. And let me zoom in for people. I'm going to try my best. That zoom on Instagram isn't always great. Okay. New Hegseth blows $93 billion in a month. Biggest monthly expense since 2008. Curious what the 2008 expense was. But Pete Hegseth blew billions on fruit basket stands, chairs, and crab. The Defense Department, isn't it Department of War now? Went on a $93 billion spending spree
Well,
in
did they change the
2020.
name back? I keep seeing people call it Department of Defense again.
Maybe because they think this isn't going to last after Trump leaves, and it's just like a stunt. Maybe it's like how I still call X Twitter, even though that one's more permanent. Okay, let's see what he spent it on. Again, some people say we don't pay enough attention to the white right, and I promise you that's not true. But this is just very expected behavior. So $225 million in furniture, $15 million in ribeye. Wow. More on steaks.
What kind of ribeye they buying?
That's what I'm saying. Is this like
They probably getting upcharged.
I wonder if this is like the files where ribeye means beef jerky means something else. I don't know anymore. But that's a lot of steak, I'll say.
That's a lot.
$15 million of ribeye, 5.3 of Apple devices. Still a huge payday for these corporations. $6 million a lobster, $7 million a lobster, and then $2 million in crab legs. You gotta
There
have
ain't enough lobster in the world.
come on, you gotta have both. $98,000 grand piano for a staffer's home. This is somebody's salary. How many people could we have hired? But no, a grand piano for a staffer's home. $12,000 in fruit basket stands. $140,000 in donuts and $124K in ice cream. This
I
man
mean, were
is
they giving out the ice cream machines to people?
uh,
What's going on?
this is insane. And now again, if you know historically, like the Pentagon budget is a black hole, right? So they can just throw money in there and not be accountable. They failed many, many, many audits. So we know this is how the defense industry runs under both parties. But the extravagance, this kind of thing is pretty wild. Was it his money or taxpayer money? Thanks. If I wasn't being clear, this is our money. Yes, of course, our money made through labor and the global South's money stolen. But yes, he is blowing it like crazy on fruit stands, ice cream, donuts. But of course, this is happening, and so this is what always heightens the contradictions for people. It's what the wolf does as they're cutting snap. So that's you got poor moms begging for food, and then you have
Somebody
him.
said 2 million in crab. I need a visual.
That's what I really want. You ever
Are
seen
they bathing in it? What is happening?
what happened with exactly? You ever see Trump when he did McDonald's for people, and you just felt like he had a wall of McDonald's? Like I do want to see. I want to see this. I want to see the wall of ribeyes that you had to buy
This
for
shit's
this
so
event.
crazy, bro.
Donuts and ice cream. And this is funny, saying didn't he? This is the person who
He
did
said
that.
y'all
Oh
backs
no,
is
no, no.
big. You need to be able to do your PT.
Let's talk about it. Let's thank you. I'm so glad someone reminded me of that. Let's go into it. Let's watch this man. Um remember we watched this the other day. Shout out. We did
When he
cover
was
this
chastising
one.
them.
When he was talking about you guys got to be able to work out. Let's watch Pete Hegseth in the gym.
First, they did half reps, and I said nothing.
Kicking his
Then they deadlifted in running shoes, and I turned a blind
All
eye.
right, I don't care about
But then
that.
they ruined kettlebell swings, and I had to make a post about it. Now, what you see here are two of the most common mistakes in kettlebell swings. First is squatting too low with a deep knee bend. You actually want to.
I just want to see the chin ups. That's what because the chin ups
You're
were all
supposed to
I
hinge
needed.
at the hips. You can't be doing that.
It's
all
true.
that.
They don't know. He was saying they were out of shape. RFK Jr. Yeah, this is the one. This is the one. RFK Jr. and Pete Hegseth. Pentagon, where again, this black hole of money, trillions of dollars unaccounted for in this twilight zone here. And this is the guy. This is where it's going to donuts and ice cream. For somebody who RFK Jr. What does he say? What is he over? Health or something?
Yeah, the Department of Health.
At least he's slightly healthier, I guess. So they go in here.
All right, here we are in the bowels of the Pentagon for the Pete and Bobby Challenge. I think this was your idea, so I blame you. But it's all about Make America Healthy Again. We're going to be fit, not fat. We want recruits that are ready to go and challenge. What are we doing today, Bobby?
Oh, Pete and I are going to do our part, encourage American youth to do this challenge. And the challenge is to do 100 push-ups and 50 pull-ups in any order you want in under 10 minutes.
So 5 minutes is the top standard that we want to meet.
Not going to be able to do that.
Maybe he was exhausted. I don't know. He's hitting them a little bit, I guess. Maybe
he was at a thing speaking. It was like he was speaking like to the general in the crowd.
Yeah, I'm curious if he did it though, because do they post his standard? Yeah, she killed it apparently. 2 minutes 56 seconds is looking like. So there are definitely people who are in shape already in the military. I don't think that was any doubt if you actually know people in the military. So that was crazy.
People who are in the military, like they aren't in there anymore. You have something to say?
Those are not pull-ups. Yeah, I mean, listen, man, this is what I'm saying. This is the guy buying donuts and ice cream and then saying we want to be fit, not fat. So this is
he meant that shit. He said, hey, do it.
Yeah, that kipping. Yeah. He was definitely he was kipping over that bar.
Wait, I thought somebody in the thing said that pull-ups are not that hard. I just want to say
it depends. I'm not going.
Somebody talking about chin-ups are not that hard, nigga. For
Chin-ups
who?
I think chin-ups are easier than pull-ups. Yeah, but nah, they get challenged. I'm not gonna, That's why they have to do that. I think in 10 minutes, that's a pretty good physical fitness challenge, no question. I think you're going to find people like, I think that woman who they said did 2 minutes and 56 seconds. I don't know if that was for pull-ups or what, but yeah, that's impressive. And he switched to the chin up, so I'm sure he was burnt out quick. So just some more frivolous spending. Again, important to highlight again, because the contradiction of SNAP, that people were not getting paid benefits for food. Some of the frivolous September purchases made under Secretary Hegseth's stewardship include the grand piano, the Apple devices such as the new iPad, and then the shellfish. So, quick story of some government corruption. Again, it does exist on both sides, but we want to point out the blatant way that a lot of times Republicans like to do it. That's important to note. So, had that. What other stories did we want to get into? You want to follow up with Venezuela real quick, Amber? That seemed cool.
Yeah.
All
So you
right.
can see what's happening because I am.
Yeah, I got
I have
breakthrough
been seeing people
news.
changing their tune.
Really? Okay. Who's been changing? Who's singing maybe that this is not
Been
about
backtracking some of their comments
drugs?
online. I said, "What happened? They made y'all
Uh-huh.
backtrack."
Maybe their own indictment not saying it's about drugs, and now everyone's lost the narrative. I think that's happening a lot. I think a lot of people are noticing there is no narrative. Obviously, Trump has his brainwashed segment, super propagandized segment of the population, but I wouldn't say that's the majority of folks. I do think the Iran war so far is very unpopular. Again, what does unpopular mean for the American people if we're not ready to shut it down? That's another question, but it is unpopular. And so 2 months after kidnapping, Venezuelans demand the return of Maduro. Interesting. Remember, listen to Venezuelans in Weston, in Miami. And in Weston and Miami, I promise you, oh, sorry, South Florida, I've never seen a Venezuelan that looks like this. So go to that neighborhood, come to Miami, come to Broward, go to Weston, show me a Venezuelan that's black. I'll wait. All right, get into it.
Estamos exigiendo la liberación de nuestro presidente de Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro, y de nuestra dama, mujer combatiente, Cilia Flores. Trump, el pueblo de Venezuela te exige que libere a nuestros héroes ya.
Trump, the people demand that you release our heroes right now. Sorry, I know some people might not be able to read it on the screen, so I'll try and read it as we go.
Si quieres petróleo, lo tienes que pagar. Bueno, hoy nos encontramos acá nuevamente en las calles sin parar, esperando por la liberación de nuestro presidente Nicolás Maduro y de nuestra primera combatiente Cilia Flores.
We are in the streets for the release of first combatant Cilia Flores and President Nicolas Maduro, and you're seeing mass protests, thousands of Venezuelans in the street, that Afro-Venezuelan elder speaking first, and then another Venezuelan speaking here.
Aquí está el pueblo restiado en la calle en espera contra todas esas personas que nos quieren hacer daño. Somos libres de naturaleza y siempre lo vamos a hacer.
We are free and we'll always
y
be
que lo
free.
liberen ya. A 2 meses.
So that's a great update. It's straightforward. It's simple. The Venezuelan people understand. They stand by their leadership, their democratically elected leadership that was kidnapped, and we're seeing mass protests in favor. One thing you'll notice about some of the color protest and revolution stuff is that even their mass presence isn't sustained. So while they might come up and say Venezuela's free or SOS Cuba, and you might see a bunch of diaspora white folk come out and have a party essentially for US regime change, those things aren't happening week after week. Right? It's not a constant boom, 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 boom. Even unless the feds are in there trying to make it happen, it's one and done. These protests have been going on for some time, and they are mass. You can see there are still lots of people in the streets. This was from March 5th that you see those videos. So sustained people's activity, I think, should always be noticed compared to these one and done celebrations from the CIA.
Somebody did ask a question in the chat, and then they asked me, did I see their question? So I don't want you to think I ignored them. We can answer it after we finish this story.
Sure. This is what I had. Again, Fall Breakthrough News, Telesur, as we said, Calsachin News with Camila Escalante, all the folks. So Black Agenda Report, BAP has covered it earlier this week, so we maintain our coverage. And then Jackie, Darker Than Blue, in Venezuela at the moment. So check out her conversation with Dr. Sundiata last night on Real Talk, where that came up. But we're going to definitely have some coverage from Venezuela. So wanted to shout that out. What's up, Amber? What did we miss from earlier?
Cynical said, Amber, question, are you in Tennessee? No, I live in Memphis. Did you see that a Tennessee bill is being reviewed that could lock up foster kids in juvie even without criminal charges? I did. It's called SB 1868. I have a video that's coming out later today about it. But for people on here who hadn't heard of it, the Department of Children's Services partnered with a senator in the state Senate to write a bill that would create a new classification for foster youth called in need of heightened supervision. And if they were to pass that bill, then if a judge ruled that a child would qualify for that category, then they could be put in juvenile detention. And there's also an exception in there that there's a clause that adds an exception, because normally they can only be held for 6 months. But the exception says that if they have been accused of violence towards a residential home, like attendant, I guess like a nurse or a social worker, if they've been accused of assault, then they can be held like longer. It doesn't tell you how long that is, though.
Thank you.
It also has a $10 million fiscal note that will cost the state of Tennessee $10 million more to do this. So it's a horrible bill. And right now it was moving a little bit. Now it's kind of paused. So I'm not sure how much forward it'll go. I do think it's interesting that our Department of Children's Services is trying to do this, because it's the same Department of Children's Services that was keeping little babies in closets at the DCS office because they didn't have homes for them to go to. And it feels like their response for this is to say, well, let's put them in juvenile court. And that's insane. So I'm watching the bill and seeing how it's moving. It's not really clear what's going to happen. We're seeing people come out against it, but also it's an election year, and a lot of state reps, state senators push these like heavy criminalizing bills as like a signal boost to their base, like they really care. And they don't pass most of them. So
cool. Oh, this is a Republican who pushed this, I'm assuming, as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that seems
in partnership with the Department of Children's Services. There was also a bill that will charge people who had abortions with capital murder, which means they would qualify for the death penalty. But that got killed in committee this past week, like on what's today, Friday? It got killed this week, like on Tuesday. So there's a lot of bills that are dying.
Yep, I think that's the right wing strategy as well. Is what people talk about with the left, that the actual leftist organizers understand, revolutionaries understand, which is you ask for the maximum demand because you know they're not going to give it to you unless you fight, and then unless you can get the people's consciousness to fight. So something that Elder told me about the Montgomery bus boycott is that asking for integrated buses totally was seen as a communist demand originally. It was seen as like the maximum demand, exactly, because they wanted a more gradual reform-based strategy to improving people's conditions on the buses, and that's that kind of thing. Now, again, Rosa Parks' husband was a communist. She was communist affiliated, all of those things, strategist and organizer, as we know. But that's important to note. So like going for the maximum demands is just basic power to build it, right? And so Republicans understand this all the time, which is why I see them throwing all sorts of, like you said, Amber, just ridiculous things. And they're like, we'll throw so much at you, we'll overwhelm you. It'll be things that are so ridiculous that we can still get our agenda passed, because we know you're going to fight that. You're going to pay attention to this abortion is murder bill, which is utterly ridiculous. Spend time fighting that. We're going to try this. We're going to try that. And so,
oh baby, the white people was in there. The white people with their kids under the age of 5 was in there praying, talking about pass the bill. I said, please go to hell.
Yeah, man.
Go straight to hell.
Yep, the same, the evangelical right, the same, the Klansmen all over again. I also had a bill, I think it's on the national level, Transgender Together, worth discussing. U.S. Bureau of Prisons releases plans to forcibly detransition transgender inmates. Now, as we say before, the way liberals will work is they might pass some of these protections and then they never enforce them. So we're not saying that conditions for trans inmates in receiving care in prisons were good. We know they weren't, right? But not even having the appearance of these things can also be a problem. And so this is a repressive measure On Thursday, February 19th, the U.S. Federal Bureau of Prisons released new policies for the management of inmates with gender dysphoria based on Donald Trump's executive order defending women from gender ideology, extremism, and restoring biological truth to the federal government. Now, it's funny that everybody will look at this, especially a lot of liberals and mainstream pundits, and say gender ideology, this is just facts, this is just science. No. It is, that's the point. That having evidence being materialist is science-based, and they do not want that. So they're calling it ideology, and people misunderstand that. They're like, this is just a fact about human beings and biology.
Yeah. Ideology is not science. It's the same thing.
Right. They understand that they understand that there's an ideology to the science that you're even allowed to learn, right? So restoring biological truth, again, abusing science for that way to spread their ideology. The new policies outline plans to withhold gender-affirming medical care and social accommodations from incarcerated trans people, including gender-affirming surgeries, hormone therapy, clothing, and toiletries that align with the person's gender identity. The Bureau will also forcibly discontinue or taper those with existing hormone therapy regimens and remove or confiscate social accommodations like chest binders, makeup, wigs, and undergarments when possible. Wow.
I saw that.
You want to read this last slide for folks? Can you read it? I don't know if it's too zoomed out.
Thank you. It helps. In place of gender-affirming medical and social interventions, which have long been recognized as the gold standard treatment for gender dysphoria by organizations like the American Medical Association, the Bureau of Prisons will now recommend psychiatric medications, psychotherapy, and group counseling. According to Beth Schwartz-Peffel, at the Marshall Project, the move upends 9 years of federal policy and will affect more than 1,000 people diagnosed with gender dysphoria in prisons across the country who had longstanding access to basic gender-affirming care. In June 2025, a federal judge ordered the prison system to continue providing gender-affirming care while a lawsuit challenging Trump's executive order plays out. Despite this order, transgender people in prisons continue to report barriers and inconsistent access to needed care.
Again, maybe follow Transgender Together for more updates on this story. It's horrible. It is obviously denying people of basic care, and that is something that
Like
we
the
know
basics that they need.
prisons are known for. That is what they do
You
to our
already
people.
in prison, shit.
Yeah.
Also, Cynical said that was why I was confused. LOL. I was like, Memphis, isn't that in Tennessee? Amber is like, no, but this is crazy. How to watch your video. You know, technically based off of the way some of the maps have been drawn, but Memphis is really its own separate state. We really don't associate with them people in Tennessee like that. It's an insider thing. We really don't fuck with them though, because they don't fuck with us, if we be honest. But the video will be on my TikTok and Instagram, which is AS for Afro, same name on here on StreamYard. And I usually post around like 3-4 o'clock or something. So I would check on there. And I'll have like a more detailed breakdown. Some of the stuff I talked about on here, and I have like a few more things I'm adding.
Definitely. I know someone asked for if we had updates on Maduro. I have not seen any.
I haven't been able to see anything new.
I would tap in with Calsatran, Telesur, Black Alliance for Peace, organizers there in our network, maybe Jackie's show later today, and try and get updates there.
And Knuckles said like Chicago versus the
yes, everywhere.
Exactly.
There's a famous video my partner loves of someone saying I'm from Miami, and someone's like, yeah, Miami, Florida. And he's like, no,
like, no, Miami.
And I roll my eyes, whatever, you in Florida. But it's cool. I know the history. It's Florida.
Shit. They don't treat us like we part of the state. They treat us like some fucking lepers.
Well, we know people think of Memphis. They think of Memphis, Tennessee. You know,
yeah, Atlanta and Georgia
are the same. Thank you, Yipper.
But did you know there's a Memphis, Indiana?
I did not know that. That's weird. It's like the Kansas City, Missouri thing.
You know, Indiana's right above Tennessee.
So it's two of the same.
Words said 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern. No, Central.
Got you. Yeah, that's right. You got to clarify. You always be on us. It's always put EST in my emails.
I do be on them about it hard. I'm not gonna hold you.
I always put EST in my emails. So shout out again the journalists who are covering these things on the ground. Get involved. We always say organize, but that involves knowing what you are fit to struggle in. right? There are a lot of fields of struggle for folks to get involved in. So moving on. We got some Miami news, but I didn't want us to jump in too local yet, unless you were ready.
Let's just say it's like how North Florida is actually South Georgia. I have
Correct.
seen people talk about that.
It's true. That's true. No question.
It's so crazy.
Yeah, you just go up there and you see the climate, even like the trees and it does not look like South Florida ecosystem. It does look like
in a Memphis, Texas, there is a Memphis, Texas too. I think there's like 4 or 5 of them throughout the U.S. Like Memphis as a city.
Where does the word come from? Is it an indigenous word or is it a white person?
They said they named it after some shit in Egypt.
I see. Yeah, it says ancient Egyptian city Mennefer, translating to enduring and beautiful. Did not know that. It was adapted
because Memphis as a city experiences huge what was that thing, yellow fever outbreak that killed 80% of the population. Then they were able to revive it back. So that's where the enduring and beautiful
plague.
Part.
It
was like a plague. And then this rich black guy, Robert Church, I think that's his name. I can't remember all the way for real. I ain't gonna hold you, but it's early. But he used his fortune to help revive the city back, and that's why a lot of stuff is named after him. And he's a black guy because there's a park named after him too. Just like Tom Lee Parker's named after a black guy who rescued some people or some shit. Black men always doing shit for white people. I wouldn't do none of that.
Yeah, I know people are saying, I think they got it, the Greek derivation. So it actually is Egyptian, and then they translated it to Memphis. But I think exactly what you said about yellow fever, all that very interesting. Because I think it was named that because it's along the Mississippi River, just like the Nile, like the Nile. So.
Devin said, hold on, where we go? The U.S. is obsessed with the Roman Empire and the Greeks. They are so obsessed. My God.
Yeah, it's here. It is actually really sad too because they cosplay like crazy.
Not y'all all finding out that there's a lot of Memphis and Atlantas. Somebody said there's an Atlanta.
You taught me. I didn't know that.
They be reusing the names a lot.
There's a lot of stolen land for them, and they run out of names. This is Atlanta 1, Atlanta 2, Atlanta 3.
Atlanta 2 is crazy.
Oh man. Okay. Let's see. So there was one story about Social Security, I think, that Josh laced us with. If we want to go into that, Social Security watchdog opens probe into. Hold on, my computer is struggling.
Your computer struggling, your video struggling. It's all struggling.
My video hasn't been too bad today. I don't think. I don't know.
You're frozen right now. You just came unfrozen.
Oh Lord! All right, I need a webcam, or I need to investigate the feds talking with my one of the two. Social Security watchdog opens probe into alleged misuse of data by ex-Doge employee. No way! I'm shocked. The Social Security Administration's internal watchdog is investigating a whistleblower complaint into what it describes as a former Department of Government Efficiency. Hey, where is Elon Musk? Wasn't he? Remember, we got to remember the seasons of whatever show Trump is running. Like, what year is it? What season is this? So Elon Musk, whatever happened to Doge, right? Potential misuse of data obtained for the Social Security Administration. According to the document the AP obtained Wednesday, the SSA's Inspector General informed the leadership of 4 congressional committees that it was launching the probe after receiving an anonymous complaint. The Washington Post on Tuesday reported that a former Doge software engineer had allegedly told several coworkers that he possessed 2 tightly restricted databases of U.S. citizens' information and had at least one data set on a thumb drive that he would share with his new employer. And I bet you that employer is in a corporation somewhere. That'd just be my guess. The SSA said the allegations have been refuted by the agency, the former employee, and the company. Okay. The Senate Finance Committee ranking member Ron Wyden said in a statement that the allegations, if true, would represent one of the largest known data breaches in American history and called for a full public accounting. Like the one we have of the Pentagon. We'll see how well that goes.
Right.
The Social Security Administration maintains records on hundreds of millions of people, including health diagnoses, income, banking info, familial relationships, and personal biographic data. The agency has faced lawsuits over allegedly mishandling the data and Doge's access. Okay, it's kind of repeating itself. Last August, whistleblower Charles Borges, who worked as the chief data officer at the SSA, filed a disclosure to the special counsel's office stating that more than 300 million Americans' Social Security data was put at risk after Doge officials uploaded sensitive information to a cloud account not subject to oversight. Wow. In January, the Trump admin admitted in court that Doge workers had unauthorized access to sensitive SSA data, shared SSA data using an unapproved third-party service, and engaged in activities outside the scope of SSA's mission, including signing a voter data agreement with the political advocacy group. That's huge. They signed a voter data agreement. They didn't tell you who, just tell you that it happened. Litigation is ongoing. Follow, I guess, this story for more.
Them niggas don't care about getting sued, and that's the worst part. They don't give a damn.
Yep. And once we get that, it's like Apple. They're gonna make $1 billion and they're gonna pay $100 million in the class action. It'll be like, thanks for the 900 M's. Enjoy the 100 millions. We split them on 10 million of y'all, that type thing. So yeah.
What's his name? Devin said, struggle is up, brother. Oppression is up, brother. You remember that from
video? Yeah, I love that video. Have we seen the depots of My Boys Didn't Care One Bit? I mean, that's been, we saw, I think Evan covered the Doge depot earlier on Remix.
Yeah, people were talking about the depositions yesterday. Like, they were asking, are y'all watching this? Da, da, da. I said, no, I'm not watching that shit. I'm gonna go take a nap. I'm not finna worry myself. Y'all be worrying yourselves to death, boy.
I gotta get the highlights and then put it at 2 times speed. But yeah, I will watch. I need, you gotta give me the source. I can't be scouring through. They all kind of sound the same. But that's very interesting. I mean, very interesting. Our data, someone from Doge, which is run by billionaire capitalist runaway oligarch, right? Gets in there, gets our data, vanishes off, and then they're working for some sort of political advocacy group and some unknown entity, which I'm assuming is a corporation, right? So bound to happen.
Totally fine if y'all want to watch those things. So I think that people should get the information they want. I just be feeling like I need to protect my my sanity, so I'm only willing to take in so much. Also, Amilcar CT said you need to be on a wire connection, not Wi-Fi, to stream. So maybe that's why you're
okay.
So go plug into your box.
I gotta get, and then I have to use one of those adapters to even get a wired connection because I don't know if my Mac has that. All right, thank you for the advice.
Remember when that question was going around asking how often men thought about the fall of the Roman Empire? I always thought it was amusing because they clearly don't understand the history. Yes, it was a TikTok trend, and I was like, I was pretty sure most people were gonna say they were obsessed with it, or they would ask them what was their Roman Empire, and the white men were like describing the Roman Empire, like incidents, and I was like, you niggas is weird. Y'all don't see how that's weird?
I always think about the fall of the U.S. Empire, so you guys gotta update.
I'm always wishing and hoping.
Gotta be. I'm living in this world right here. But I think Parenti has a good book, Assassination of Julius Caesar. Never read it, but I've heard good things. So I stream on Wi-Fi regularly. Is Florida, Renee? You might be right. This is sad.
I'll figure it out right now. I ain't froze once. You heard me?
No, it's me. It's me. They don't like me. Okay. So wait, that was pretty much all we have on that story. I don't think there's been much updates other than if you want to check out the depots, because it says the litigation is ongoing. We'll get some more details about that. Amber, I agree. I'm not the biggest fan of watching it, but I do appreciate people who do that because, as I said, many areas of struggle. I do think we should have people just focused on one thing. So if you're just watching depots, cool. I like this account called, I think it's Case Study QB, where they'll take mainstream news clips about a certain issue and be like, this is how CNN is discussing this, and then they'll like break that down. I think those things are useful. And then last, I'll share one resource that I think is very overlooked in our network, so I just want to shout them out too. This is Fairness and Accuracy in Reporting Fair. I believe they also do summer jobs if you got some young folk who need employment, but they are a watchdog organization for corporate media. I really enjoy how they'll do a story. So it's actually like meta news in the sense that they'll have their line, their actual journalism, and then they'll cover how the mainstream is covering the journalism and point out the differences. So one way they might do it is they'll talk about the whole narrative, basically how the mainstream media is unfolding the narrative. And then they'll also link you to those actual sources and the dates. So if the New York Times is talking about Maduro's a narco terrorist, they'll show you when they said that wasn't true in 2016, and they'll tell you when they say it was true in 2018. And so they'll track how these publications change the narrative over time while giving you information, which is really helpful. And they do it with the main ones. They love getting at the Washington Post. The Washington Post has been they bodied the Washington Post many times on here. The New York Times, NPR even. Yeah, NPR. I always see. There you go. This is the big three. If you want some news that's going to dispel the myths that you're getting from the big three, NPR, Washington Post, and New York Times, FAIR is your place. And they've been around since 1986. They do solid work. So wanted to shout them out this morning.
Also, I'm sorry if I can hear my dog. He howling and shit in the background. He likes attention.
We know your dog's part of the show. That's family.
Sudip said, I never ever think about Rome, and I wonder why my girlfriend asked me that. It was a like really popular trend.
Yeah. Think about it in the sense of like it's an empire, and then the US very clearly cosplays Rome. They made that Gladiator movie on purpose. They made Denzel Washington the counter-revolutionary that I always hate. That you've become them. They did that on purpose in Gladiator too, because they know that people are going to see the parallels.
You watched
it wasn't good. I like Denzel. I like a good Denzel performance. So if he gets to dress up and have a gold earring on in ancient Rome, I'm gonna watch it. You know.
Okay, so I do remember when that was trending. That nigga was fine as hell in the movie. I never saw it. I just saw a clip. And I said, why he sitting on them people throne with that dress on with that earring? Okay,
it was called. Yeah, but he's a fascist. It's the typical it's Killmonger. I wouldn't enjoy it. He's a
the movie.
Spoiler alert, Vernon philosophy, y'all. Yes, he ends up being the black man who ends up wanting to be the ruler of empire, which is always it's a boring story. It's a counter-revolutionary trope. The CIA, I'm sure, the Department of War, all of them have this you must put this into the stories. No question, because it's in everyone. It's the revolutionary who's too revolutionary, and then they become fascist for some reason. It's in The Boys right now. They have a black woman who's a super genius, and for some reason, the only thing she can use with her genius is becoming a fascist and supporting the main villain. And also her
him. And I said, why are they just randomly having sex?
Yes, and so you watch The Boys too, and her mom was a Panther, so it's a double attack on the legacy. They love spitting on our legacies like that. So the Boys, can't stand The Boys. Lots of Black Panther character assassinations in that show. If you watch closely, it's a really.
I definitely did watch The Boys, but
yeah, it's good though.
A lot. I said, all right, y'all doing a bit much.
Yep. It's the white boys riding revolution, which is they're actually pretty good at getting into the white boy psychology. I point that out a lot with Homelander. I think they get the fascist psyche down in some ways because they white boys who write it. But then when it comes time for revolution, it's terrible. And no other race of people can be involved. It's all white men fighting white men through their trauma. And it's bad.
All they're doing.
Is bad, but whatever. It's almost over. The Boys is white boy TV. Yeah, no question. I would not argue with people.
Good white boy TV though. I like it.
It's good. Yeah, it's good.
CT said it's about the bandwidth if you're freezing, so you just got to plug into that box.
Oh, okay. I'm not even sure what it is. Maybe that means I have too many tabs open. I'm not sure. The comments are terrible too.
Because I've seen your computer before, and there's 85 tabs open because you're a psychopath.
Okay, this is true. I had to keep all our stories up. We've got into. So I think The Boys is on their final season. I think they had a spinoff in the.
Now they're finna be into the revolution part because on the spinoff show, those kids just met up with the people from The Boys. Is on the Starlight side.
I didn't watch the spinoff because I know that the main actor, one of the main actors, the black man, died, I think, or took his own life, so unfortunately.
He did, but he was in 2 seasons before that, and then they do a tribute to him.
Got it. Yeah.
They were really fucked up about it. They was really So upset. I was like, oh, it's so sad.
Yeah,
Because they had worked together
sad
for
when that
like
happens.
3 years, like
Yeah,
filming
it's
the show.
always sad when that happens, and it just changes the entire, trajectory of the show. It's always awkward. The actors have to continue. It's not their fault, but
I mean, honestly, it didn't change the trajectory of the show because he was a supporting character, but it did, like, to me, impact the relationships they had because, like, you could tell the loss impacted them more than just acting in the show. But he was like a side role, so
well, he was like
he was
yeah, he was
in
a
the
secondary.
storyline.
Yeah, but I think he would have probably been written as a part of the cast for quite some time, and then they had to change the story without him because he was in the
Yeah, I think
original
that
group.
they had to
So.
rush and figure out how they were gonna like kill him off or whatever.
Yeah, which they had to do with a lot of these things. Okay, well, yeah, we definitely could do some boys
Somebody
again, more
asked, oh, a
Patreon
manifesto
content.
said that the spinoff has the girl who killed her own parents with her menstruation blood. Yeah, it was a mistake. And she was like so messed up about it, and they put her in a mental hospital.
Yeah, and then there's the whole prison thing with that show, and then the prison rebellion happens, and they become fascist for some reason because again, they can't write actual rebellion. They've done multiple prison breaks in that show, and all the prisoners are just dehumanized and murdered. It's pretty
Mhm.
again, white boy revolution. Um, moving on, I did
I
see.
saw
Go
where
ahead.
Ashley Knuckles said this a manifesto had a question for you, but I can't find the question. Can you put it back in the chat, a manifesto?
Yes, please. And as we get to that, we'll jump into this next story real quick. We've been looking at Venezuela. Let's also take a look at our cousins in Cuba. This soup kitchen in Havana relies on local donations to make meals for the community. President Trump blocked foreign shipments of oil to the island on January 29th, forcing Cubans to rely on each other to survive, as they've been doing for 60 plus years right now. And as our people have been doing on that island since the Lady Carlotta burned down the plantations. So let's check this out.
Nosotros alimentamos el cuerpo, vestimos la dignidad y abrazamos el alma.
We nourish the body and the soul. The soup kitchen, a la guinera, ponle corazón, turns donations into meals.
Proyecto hecho de amor, de sensibilidad. Nos reunimos un grupo de vecinos y acordamos hacer algo por los enfermos mentales.
A group of us neighbors came together to do something for the mentally ill people and senior citizens. This is an Afro-Cuban woman in Southern Havana.
Adultos mayores, recibimos ayuda de muchísimas personas de la comunidad.
Es un proyecto que ella tiene ahí que es digno de admirar y de reconocer.
3 veces a la semana le llevamos mercancía de lo que podemos.
Después de haber recogido todas las donaciones que nos hacen nuestros colaboradores, empezamos a elaborar el arroz y nos cortaron la energía y entonces tuvimos que pasar a la alternativa de improvisar un fogón de leña porque no tenemos combustible, ni petróleo, ni gasolina, que el combustible que estamos utilizando es el poliespuma este.
A poder hacerle el menú completo a los compañeros, que va a ser el arroz, picadillo, la vianda y ensalada de pepino.
Desde niño mi mamá siempre me enseñó a siempre ayudar a las personas mayores.
Esto es un apoyo perfecto. Hemos podido hacer donaciones, eventos culturales y ahora con este proyecto también ponemos nuestra parte estética.
Desde el 15 de agosto del 2025 comenzó este proyecto, nosotros no hemos dejado de darle esos alimentos. Esas personas merecen ese trato, merecen ese apoyo.
Shout out the Cuban people. Shout out the mutual aid. Very much appreciate seeing our
Mutual aid
folks
saves
doing that.
lives.
Yep, we know. So very inspiring to see that. It's also just inspiring to see that within, a liberated nation like Cuba. I know that we do this in our neighborhoods. So I just want to point that out to people. I like to show that to like someone who works in the free village fridge down here. That would be who this is for, because I want people to know our people here do that. Like that's been a thing for a very, very long time. So there's no surprise. I just think there's a confusion because we got to remember Cuba is African, as Leah says, saw it with my own eyes. And this gets kind of confused in Miami as well, where a lot of Black people's primary exposure to Cubans is the white
It's the white one.
diaspora, counter-revolutionaries, and then the segments that have come over after because of economic hardship, which some are Afro-Cuban. You just gotta, again, gotta talk to Black people and see, wait, why you speak Spanish? But many of them are not. And so a lot of people on the island are where the African diaspora is, which I love to say. So I would love to show this to folks in Miami, Black people, particularly Black women who do this kind of work, because that is something we do all across the diaspora.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. National Cuba Week of Action. Okay, put more info in the chat for your land. I want to get us the next story. Did you say someone had a question for me?
I don't see if Manifesto reposted.
Oh no, I think he did. Wait, hang on. I thought I had it. So aware of the categories about Black men build receiving funding from a billionaire. Yes, deeply unprincipled, but I'm not speaking officially for Black men build here. So I recommend maybe you reach out through email if you want more information, info@blackmen.build. But my take is that it's someone looking for online engagement. Come see us in the work would be my point to anyone saying that. And our base is actually on the ground. So none of them have really been engaging in this podcaster's attempts at getting our attention. All right.
I'm just trying to get some attention. You know, niggas love views.
Yeah, I found it. So yeah, I'm in a Manifesto. That would be my recommendation. Reach out to the organization if you want an official statement. But that's all I'll say on it for now. Okay, what we got?
A good comment about farming and mutual aid. She said, "Very inspiring. I'm a farmer doing work with Black neighborhoods, with grocery stores that have all left. Economic warfare on our food systems as Africans is global, and I've learned so much from Cubans." So cool.
Yes, it is very cool. I love when we share that information. I also, since we got brought in the
email
conversation,
info@blackmen.build.
That's right. Go ahead. That's what they had. Ask them why they didn't do that. That'd be another
I would ask
interesting question. If you
also,
have an encounter.
All these nonprofits get money from billionaires. Billionaires donate to them all the time because they want tax write-offs. So I think we should stop judging the nonprofits and ask the billionaires why they only donate once or twice a year for some tax write-offs.
I think you got right to where I was going to get. So thank you very much for that,
You want
Amber.
the niggas to turn down the money and not do the community work or not? What is it?
This becomes, Amber understands someone as an organizer. Amber understands how to ask some critical thinking questions. That is why our first value of Black Men Build is we are critical thinkers. Be critical thinkers, y'all. Think through this. So I wanted to highlight something. We had my Big Bros article, which I thought was excellent, from our latest wartime, which Amber is going to get a copy of. No more Black overseers, no more house Negroes, a rejection of the Black misleadership class. Great article. I love how it's been broken down. Different concepts are built on, again, from Black Agenda Reports, Black misleadership class, but we specifically talk about celebrities in this era and how they've been employed. So that's been getting a good amount of engagement. And of course, as always, when you come after these people, come after the whites, why are you doing this? Go after this person, blah, 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 blah. You're on some hater shit. Yes, I am. And we want to talk about the fact that we have receipts for these things. There's an analysis behind this shit. There's a reason I'm a hater. Hatred is healthy. It's a healthy response to violence against you. And
niggas saying hating ain't healthy is weird because it works perfectly fine for me.
What George Jackson say, perfect hate and perfect love. That was a dialectic. They are related. I hate because I love. So what is this? Jay-Z friend of foe. So we had this interesting post. I highly recommend y'all check it out. Black Men Build's main page. Just going through a history of Jay-Z, the Just Daily J-mail, Jeffrey Epstein email we talked about last week on why are people not raising up like they are in Sao Paulo here. It's because it's about hip hop and cars and white women. That group should be in the streets, has been bought off by Jay-Z, Just Daily, Blue Mountain Capital. So this was a bit of a deep dive. into Jay-Z's history, and you could start it earlier than this, but we started in 2004 with the Nets and gentrifying Brooklyn, and we work our way through. So I just highly recommend we go on to discuss his relationship with Robert Kraft, the industry around him, because again, it's not just Jay-Z in his business position. These people have a network of folks. So it talks about how, I believe this was one of the more interesting ones. Again, I recommend you check them all out. But one that got my attention was this last piece about Ariane Rothschild, French banker and CEO of Edmund Rothschild Group, had some of the most extensive email correspondence with Epstein, having sent or received roughly 5,500 emails. Since 2015, Roc Nation's head of UK operations has been Kate Rothschild, British heiress to the infamous banking dynasty. So that was a connection I had and
Not
made.
surprising.
That is not surprising, but it is important when we talk about Black capitalists, because speaking of what you just said with the billionaire comment, I wanted to say just this comment here, and I appreciate it. I know this is where our people will be sometimes, but Liberation CJ says, how do we leverage Black capitalists in our quest for liberation? It seems counterproductive to have so much smoke for Black capitalists, while in the same breath, Black organizers and Black organizations have to beg white billionaires to fund our work. So that, I think, is important. First and foremost, to note, these Black capitalists are engaged in white capital. That is the function of the Black bourgeoisie. They are junior partners in white imperialism. They only work on behalf of white capital. So that's why I wanted to show you Jay-Z, this Black capitalist, is tied in with the Rothschilds and Epstein. So you cannot get billionaire levels of capital as a Black person unless you engage white capital, imperialism, global finance capital, whatever you want to call it. So that is going to happen. As you climb, you will be put in contact. I also want to say that Black capitalists engage, or celebrities, the misleadership class, engage in white philanthropy. I also just think that is forgotten. Like that is where most of their organizations are heavily white philanthropy based.
Bro, when I was
Black
in
capitalists do
Louisville,
that.
after Breonna Taylor got killed, when I was in Louisville, the craziest shit to me was seeing how many, like, all these national orgs were coming in and were just donating to the BLM chapter there and other orgs there, because they was getting all this money coming in from the white capitalist class. Like all these white billionaire folks and other people were donating to them, so they were giving money to that, like, people in that city. And I was like, y'all act like you didn't think that would happen. Like, if they're getting money from them, then they're at least giving it to people who could use the money. But they're all gonna get money. Like, that's what happens. That's what those folks do.
Yep. And these celebrities that's not their instinct to build organization, by the way. I want to point that out. They build nonprofits, they build advocacy groups, because that's what white capitalists do. And they're just mirroring the people that they believe know how to get money and success. So they don't build things. And it's actually covered in that post. But Jay-Z had an advocacy group called Reform, which was supposed to be around prison advocacy. And it's actually, I'll pull it back up, it's not looking good in terms of what it actually does. That was the point. So Meek Mill and Jay-Z have this social justice kind of record, where this advocacy with their organization called Reform. Again, let's just start with George Jackson. Mr. I was born on the day Fred Hampton died. It's talking about reform, which George Jackson literally calls fascism. Says if I had to call fascism one word, it'd be reform. 2 words, economic reform. So you name your thing, reform. And so it goes on. There's a report about it, except from reform in name only, the difficulties of dismantling mass supervision in Pennsylvania. Reform's legislative efforts are also distinguished by its remarkable accommodation of punitive changes that anti-carceral organizing probation officers and even internal stakeholders within reform disagree with. Sometimes they've accommodated so many changes and amendments to a bill that they're left with some pile of carnage that they're dragging across the finish line to get the win. Distorting its own initial goal, reform's concessions threaten to expand probation.
Which is
Jay-Z.
why when you're working with legislations, when you're working on legislative stuff, you should be asking for the most, because they're already going to take stuff out. They be asking for the bare minimum. And then when they ask for the bare minimum, they get so much shit taken out or changed, it don't even be impactful no more.
Yep.
Because they're stupid and they don't
Absolutely.
actually organize. I do just want to say, yes, I see this happen all the time with, like, billionaires donating to stuff. But also, like, when I have been places, like in organizing spaces, even smaller orgs, they're all getting money from billionaires. Like they're donating to all of them. Like that's what happens. Because like I said earlier, they want that tax write-off. But we should be focusing on the work that those folks are actually doing.
Thank you. And I wanted to, because this
My
is
bad. Somebody was
the thing.
honking on the horn. I got nervous. I think we should be focusing on the work that folks are actually doing and the impact that it actually causes. Because I know for sure my job got a donation from Nike because they gave us free Nikes.
Yes. And I think
I
people
ain't wore the
don't.
shoes once because I don't like them. They're uncomfortable. But I will say, like, I know they gave us some shoes and got a good ass tax write-off.
Mm-hmm. And I think so. I'm not trying to avoid. There's a deeper analysis of nonprofit industrial complex that needs to happen. I'm just saying that the critique was not in good faith for us in terms
Oh, I
of
don't
that.
think it was in
But
good faith at
no,
all.
I'm seeing a comment that's not you, because that's because I know you're already outlining what we're going to have to talk about, which is people are misunderstanding the history of the nonprofit industrial complex. There's The Revolution Will Not Be Funded, which is a series of essays that needs updating, but I recommend we start there. But Robert Allen's Black Awakening in Capitalist America is what talks about this, where he didn't even know about COINTELPRO, but he's pointing out what COINTELPRO is. He's pointing out the Ford Foundation money and where it goes and how it is taking organizations that are doing good work and then shifting their priorities. So that would be the question. How is this funding shifting, like Amber's pointing out, the work, the priorities, the analysis? That is what we're starting to notice when Alan is doing this critique. Another thing I think is missing that Alan points out that Two Black and Rasul doing Laundering Black Rage is a socialist analysis of where capital comes from. Where are these billionaires getting the money? This is stolen money. And so we're missing that. Billionaires, through capitalism, extract wealth from the workers. That is why they have the billions to then redistribute to you. So you're just getting something that was already yours. Now, because of the nonprofit industrial complex, the labor movement is weakened, all of these things that we would need to actually have those things. Because what if a union were funding a local organization instead? That would require worker organizing, that would require power. Then we wouldn't have to go to a billionaire capitalist and ask for money. But our wealth is already stolen. So these capitalists, as Two Black and Rasul outline, as Robert Allen outlines, have a problem with society. They destroy our safety nets with neoliberal economies. And so they need to give people money to do services because they cut all the services as billionaires. And they also give people money to do programming. Now, they still are trying to kind of control this programming, but it's a complex process of doing that. So that's where I get back to, like, this money was already stolen from us. The reason we have it when we look at BLM is because of the mass protests in the streets. That's the laundering. There's the burning down in Minneapolis, which then takes these corporations with their stolen wealth. And then they're like, oh, we got to break off a little bit more so that this can't happen as much. So that's also what I think people are missing about this. The fact that there were mass uprisings, that there was problems in the streets, when there are international crises, right? That is when people in the capitalist class recognize they need to create an exhaust valve. Now, that exhaust valve, again, only works to a certain degree. But that's been my PE on nonprofit stuff. We'd have to break it down more. But Amber, I think it's
important. No, I think it's important to add, because even when you were talking about the reform thing, that was something I noticed, like, about how all these large nonprofit groups work together. Because what's that man? Ben Crump would get these families who have these civil cases. Then he would connect them to Reform. Reform would then invite them out to the Made in America Festival. Then they would invite them out to other events. And then Tamika Mallory and Until Freedom folks would come in and host an event. They were all connected together. And it's like part of being represented by him. They will offer these things of like, oh yeah, you'll go to this thing. They're going to pay for it. Like, they all line up together to keep the image of all this work we're doing. I know, because I got a free ticket to Made in America because Tyree Mama didn't want to go. And I was already going to Made in America. And that's how I had found out all the tea. Because one thing about it, niggas with money talk too fucking much. That's one thing they're going to do every time.
They sure do.
So I got all the tea. And that's also how I know Reform is going down under O Street in a Range Rover. Half the people that either quit or got laid off. And it's because the model they built up wasn't sustainable. Mm-hmm. And although I do think that what's the boy name who was in jail? Meek Mills. I do think that he had good intentions, but he was being used.
Of course,
and he doesn't understand that he being used because he ain't all there. The nigga was in jail a lot. I mean, he ain't all there. And Jay-Z is definitely using him. And so but when you see how all those things are connected, like, I can't tell you how many times they was talking about Ben Crump was coming in town for a press conference. After that press conference, they had a meeting at the National Civil Rights Museum. Then they had an event they were going to, or they were going out to one of his book tour stops. Why are your clients going out to your book tour stops? Okay, whatever. Free trip. So whatever. But then also, it makes it very hard for those clients to ever really work jobs again because they are traveling randomly for different things. And so that's why they're getting these big settlements, because then they never have to work again. And then I feel like a lot of them feel indebted to Ben Crump and to their team because, I mean, as somebody who was instrumental, I was working with this investigator every single day. Like they are doing a lot for them. So then they kind of feel indebted in a way. And so they continue showing up and stuff and doing interviews or whatever. And I think that that's like a big thing that people don't even notice is how connected all those things are. Because when I saw that Ben Crump was definitely connected to the reform niggas and they was taking him to conferences, I said, oh, this is a Ponzi scheme altogether. Well, not a Ponzi scheme because it's not.
But
it's not fraud.
It's a complex.
But it is a setup.
It's a complex. Yes.
It's a little system they got set up. It's not a Ponzi scheme. My bad, y'all. But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's a scam, and that's you're linking all this is a nonprofit industrial complex. And so again, I think people who are into this work who made those connections critically can start seeing these things. But it's absolutely right. They want those things to exist, right? Not the right wing, the liberals. Remember, it's a symbiotic function. They want that so that they can again steer. It does two things. It steers the radical movement. That's got its tentacles everywhere. Yeah, exactly. And that's how capitalism is often represented. So it can steer. It does a few things. It offers services, which we talk about with this nonprofit industrial complex. It regulates the services. It makes it. What's up? I know you here for this convo. Exactly. He tapped in. You make you make the services part of it. So it just does good services. That's what you're talking about, Amber. Like some of these orgs.
And as somebody who has seen it up front, I understand the critique people have about Ben Crump being a grifter because I definitely feel like he comes and swoops in. I also have seen that he does provide services to those families, which is why they stick with him in the way they do. But they make him bukus of money. Yep. He is a star of the show. Y'all, every time I start using my hands, he gets excited. That's why he walked over. He's like, "Ooh, we're using our hands. Like you're really getting into it."
So you're getting into it, you know. So I'm saying he on the show.
He really thinks he's on the show.
I think it is opportunity. I mean, the term our elders used was poverty pimp to describe like an Al Sharpton, and it's true because you make your money off of other people's suffering.
People are not poor. Like Tyrese's parents were not poor, but they weren't able to work a job anymore. Yeah. And so it's like they are being pimped in a way of like you're dependent to like get this settlement fund or whatever, or like, you know, Tyree had a baby. I'm talking about Tyree Nichols for folks who don't know. Yeah. Tyree Nichols had a baby. The baby's like almost 6 now. And so they had a huge GoFundMe for the baby to take care of him because like he was only like 1 or 2 when this had happened. So, I mean, he's like growing up without a father now. His mom is having to raise him alone. So that was one of the big things too, of like trying to make sure they got money for the child, like to take care of him because he still lives in California. And that was a whole thing. Yipper said, I think Amber and Lorik are preparing us to see them in a Beyonce music video because she donated to them. I'm going to tell you one thing right now. You'll never see me in a Beyonce music video because I don't fuck with the American flags. If it's some other shit though, if there's no American flags involved, I will be willing to make a cameo.
Yo,
but if it's American flags, no.
Y'all go see me getting arrested like at the Kendrick show.
Yeah, I said at the concert, baby, it's American flags every fucking where. I said, damn, this annoying.
Yes, we need to. Okay, so first thing I wanted to say, someone pointed out. So again, so then what is the point? Is it saying, oh, you just got to accept white billionaire money and it has no conflict? Of course, there are contradictions. Be in the work and notice them, as Amber is doing, because again, these people are providing services, something that's needed. Yes, Tyre Nichols' son needs food, needs shelter, and all of that. What ends up happening is the people in our community, the revolutionaries, who are best suited to provide those things, get systematically removed. That is how we end up in this situation. And so the only one is left are these opportunists. And so what I would point out is another thing. When you're doing enough of this work, obviously, the capitalists start paying attention when you hide in contradictions. If you're not, if you're just providing services, they're cool. Like you said, Amber, reform will just go under its own contradictions over time. They'll have wasted a lot of time. They'll still be able to kind of advertise, do the mental warfare, media manipulation, Jay-Z does, right? So it's cool. It's useful for them. But here's an example, funding from the Freedom Farm Cooperative in Mississippi, what people need to know about. An example of like when white philanthropy notices something that's actually helpful for self-determination. Their goal is to keep you dependent. Once you actually have something that's organized independently, which is the race we're in, then they come in and they try and cut you off. So they didn't compromise, they ended up getting funding pulled. Principles aren't cutesy words, they guide the work. So if you heighten the contradictions to a point where the state, where its instruments like philanthropy see you as a problem, are you ready to continue the work? That is, I think, the core question you need to be asking yourself, not just saying the money is ruined. I see a lot of people who do this with socialism, like, I can't be a good socialist if I don't do take a vow of poverty and chastity. That's not materialist. That's not how this works.
It's not
It's a
realistic.
lot
I
of,
was talking to
it's a
somebody
lot
about
of
that
things, yeah.
yesterday, actually, because we were talking about like anti-capitalism and like I was like, I can't be an anti-capitalist because like we all have this system. And I was like, you can have anti-capitalist beliefs and try to separate yourself from the system as much as possible when you can. But yeah, we all have to have jobs. I'm not saying not to have a job and go find a way to live off the land. I'm saying the system we currently have does not work. You can have these anti-capitalist practices that you use as much as possible, but when you need to feed yourself, we understand that that's what the struggle looks like. But I think people take stuff so like to matter of fact, and it's like, well, I can't say I'm an anti-capitalist if I don't da 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 da.
Yeah,
and I was like, that's not true.
It's
You can
some up.
have anti-capitalist beliefs. None of us are capitalists anyways because we can't be capitalists. We don't
own them either.
Even after I explained that, he was like, "Oh, okay, it's the nigga that be reading, Lord, the one I told you about."
The
And
one
he was
I'm
like,
favorite.
"Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense." I was like,
That's
"Yeah."
the one I'm rooting for, guys. I'm rooting for that in the Amber saga. Just so you know, the brother who reads. That's who Josh put his money on. I did say.
They
I also
all
want to
read,
point
you
out.
guys. I don't want y'all to think I talk to niggas that
That's
don't
true.
read. They
That's
all
true. That's
read.
true. That's true. I like this one. Okay. I also want to point out. So we talked about the Epstein class and a lot of focus on the black bourgeoisie, because I think it should be pointed out what I've been trying to say. There's an Obama class, and I think that should be discussed and how they function. So check this out, because someone already pointed out that Meek Mill has some weird relationship to Diddy. Of course, that's rap, that's the label, that's all of these things. But they are all together. So this was, I want to point out, this Rock Nation toast, I'm pretty sure they did this one, maybe this one wasn't there, but they did one in the White House. So they had access.
It was like on the lawn or something.
On the lawn, yeah. So the White House is giving them access to power. Like I said, Obama was at the end of his term when he's doing his going away party. BET's in the White House covering it. He has, I think, someone doing "Fight the Power" on stage, and him and Michelle are singing "Fight the Power" as they leave the White House. So this is what I want to point out again about these connections with white philanthropy and the halls of white power. Jay-Z, Diddy, Meek Mill, and a few others. Kevin Hart's usually in these pictures. I think he's somewhere. There he is. There's Kevin Hart smiling. Right? Look, Khaled somehow sneaks into this shit. You know,
Kevin just be happy to be there, child.
Just goes to show the Palestinians and Africans we have a united struggle, because they show as hell.
But the picture you're showing, that's not at the White House.
That's a different one. I'm just
it's the one down below here when they inside. That's the one that's at the White House.
That one, yeah, of course.
Also, that nigga Godfrey, he done switched up.
Of course, thank you, Amber. Jared's been covering on Godfrey for a minute, and I'm like, man, when you want to go in,
up, bro. He said, I ain't with the shit no more. And I love that for us.
Well, I think he sees the right as the bag right now. He's like, this Joe Rogan bag. I don't need to kiss Obama's ass. I think I could get some of this this podcaster bag.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Not Amber needs a reader. I need to eat her up. You heard that song before?
Yes, I do.
That's what it made me think of. Mona Leo got this song that says, eat her, and like the little squeaky noise. It's so funny to me. I love the way she uses alliterations in her lyrics. That shit is so good. No, I do need a reader. This is very true.
Yes,
I do like when they read. Actually, a little Amber lore while we got a little time.
Please do. I'll be right back.
In college, I used to make niggas read to me. Like with the dudes I was dating, I'd be like, yeah, call me and read to me so I can go to sleep. And I would make this nigga read to me and he would do it. No questions asked. He like, what do you want me to read? I would send him stuff. One time I told him, make a story up. You know, I'm just trying shit. One thing about me, I'm gonna do it for the plot every time. I used to tell that nigga, I don't know, make a story up. He was just making stuff up. It was great. I need to bring that back. Actually. KJ said, not Lori betting on Amber's love life. It's wild. Hey.
Yeah. Sure am. Also, I think Amber embodies the quote, excellent use of free will. I think that's Amber's MO. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, for the plot, absolutely. Oh, I got on our Black Liberation Media merch as
Oh
cooperative member.
yeah,
I
I
was
got
able
my
to
shirt. I need to
receive.
wear mine next Friday.
Yeah, so shout out. We got our merch store again, Black Liberation Media. And no, we're running out of time. Okay, all right. We got, I think, one more story, and then we can start closing out our week. You want to do? I got two, Amber. I got Miami Mayor. You know, I got to give us some Miami is the South propaganda. So I got Miami
Manifesto said I
Mayor.
will freestyle for Amber over the phone, and we're gonna have to set that up.
That's so, yeah. You set yourself up on manifesto for that one. Let's see. Okay. Damn. Which story?
Winston said I thought he meant. I know he wasn't reading textbooks to me.
I'm a,
No, they
I'm
was
a,
reading stories. I said, here, pick up this book, read it.
we've done too much scamming stuff. I'm gonna do something positive. I'm gonna close this out with
Okay.
something positive. All right. So I'm interested in this tomorrow. We'll see if I have some time because it's also Be Out Day Miami.
Ooh.
But this is Black Miami Day. This
Ooh.
archivist page. Haitian woman runs it. She does some great archival work on Black Miami. And so one thing she's doing is Nature as Archive, exploring Black Miami's history through our connection with plants, because Florida's the South. Thank you. All right. So Black farmers in early Miami.
Why you say that?
Listen, you knew I was anyway. I want to. When I get Florida into the RNA's black belt, y'all are gonna be like, oh, okay. I
It's not
see
the
you were
South, but we'll let
serious.
you slide.
I see you
Okay.
were serious about this. All right, Black farmers in early Miami. Before Miami became the city we know today, the land was mostly pine, rockland, and swamp. It wasn't a place many people thought could support farming. Black farmers and farm workers brought their agricultural expertise to this new city. They cleared and cultivated the land, turning small plots, usually under 20 acres, into productive truck farms. Many of these farmers came from, I want to highlight all of these, Alabama, Georgia, the Bahamas, and South Carolina. I'm highlighting all of these because Black Miami has a large Afro-American population. This is often sometimes underemphasized, I think, to talk about the Bahamian influence. And my grandfather was Bahamian from the Bahamas, so it's
Bahamian?
part of my history. That being
That's the
said,
place on my list that I want to go to next. Is the
great
Bahamas.
place. Trump got kicked out because he used to own Atlantis. Whole fun story there. But great place, highly recommended. I want to point this out because the creolization that we talk about, where all of our cultures, where Haitians, Jamaicans, African Americans, Bahamians come together, it started from the beginning. It actually started before Miami was even incorporated into the U.S. empire. So we have Bahamians here with Afro Americans, like my grandma and grandpa, and they form the community. So I always like to point that out, that Florida's early Black population, the Africans who fled from South Carolina, Alabama, Georgia, and the Bahamas became Seminoles, right? Along with the native people, the Creek, and the Afro-Americans who came down and were the early laborers as well. So we have a lot of Floridians 4 generations back, straight out of Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, Mississippi. So that's it. So in 1910, Black farmers such as Henry Baxley, Hattie Brooks, and Frank Bates were among those growing grapefruit, avocados, mangoes, cabbage, tomatoes, and other crops across communities like Miami Shores, Lemon City, Coconut Grove, and the Goulds. So just want to point it out again. Black Bahamians absolutely helped build the city. So did Afro-Americans. I don't want that ADOS, FBA. I've seen some debates. Some people in my story telling me, you got to check this brother out. You should debate him. I don't want to. But I will point out
Why
he
would you
does
debate
have
him?
some. Because he does this thing like, Bahamians did this, and he's doing diaspora wars, and I'm not all that interested, but people think I have clarity.
Not
My clarity is
interested.
this. We all came here. We all were forced to work, and this state came about because we lost a war, a Revolutionary War of Independence, the Seminole Wars. So moving on, plant medicine in Black Miami. Rebecca Johnson Bullard Bethel came to Miami from Eleuthera, where my family is from, Bahamas in 1921. She said she relied on the bush medicine she knew from home, boiled aloe and cerasee leaves to care for her health. Bethel lived to be 102 years old. Many early Black residents in Miami also had roots in the Carolinas and other parts of the U.S. South. During the 1918 flu pandemic, some wore plant medicine around their necks to help protect them from illness and harmful energy. And it was not uncommon for Black midwives birthing babies in early Miami to also be experts in local flora as trained herbalists. Then and now, no matter where people came from, Black ancestral knowledge about plants remained part of daily Miami life, used for healing, protection, teas, tonics, and spiritual baths. Emma, want to read the next one? I never stepped away. I completely missed it because I was zoomed in. My bad, y'all. Growing beauty in Black Miami. One of Miami's best known gardens. So Miami's best known gardens, and if you're down here, you've probably heard of this. Vizcaya Museum and Gardens was built between 1914 and 1922. While the estate is often linked to James Deering, the wealthy white industrialist who owned it and has a Deering Estate Park still in Miami, the gardens were constructed and maintained through the skill and labor of largely Bahamian stoneworkers and gardeners. Their craftsmanship created Vizcaya's lush grounds. This is the history of all of Miami, especially early Miami, of our people, our laborers building the infrastructure, making sure the gardens grow. And before them, it was the natives who were the stewards of the land and built the life pathways that we use, right? So just wanted to point that out. We took care of the gardens, a lot of the early infrastructure, showing white people how to survive off the limestone. That was us.
And they didn't know how to do shit.
They give, yep. And so this is Women's History Month. This is that kind of liberal feminism that people use to attack all of feminism. Julia Tuttle is a white woman who is one of the only major city founders in the US. She founded Miami. What she did was she was a citrus plantation owner. And when she moved down, she moved into a home, a rock home, built, of course, by enslaved Africans. And so I just like pointing that out. Gardens were a space.
By slaves.
Yep, and they removed this. So if you talk about our trauma down here, a lot of Black people will talk about we used to have citrus plants that the state removed. And so that's a whole history. I think there's movies about it. But just more about how gardens were a huge part of our community space. We still have gardens. There's Green Haven Project. There's Overtown Farms. There's the community garden at the Freedom Lab. But this is very important. Members maintain the gardens around community spaces, held meetings outdoors in their personal gardens. And it's also where our cultures came together, where plants from the Caribbean, or people who knew how to plant in the Caribbean, met people from the US South and things like that. So just wanted to point that out. And so I'll be there. I hope, hopefully this event doesn't run over, but that's what I'm up to this Saturday. That's my closeout. I'll definitely share what I see. But Saturday, March 14th in Miami, we're talking about Nature as Archive. What you got going on, Amber? Thank you.
I actually cut some cuttings yesterday to plant some herbs. So right now on my little windowsill thing, I have some cuttings that I'm hoping will grow some roots that I'll put into this like raised flower bed that I bought that I actually haven't put together yet, but it's cool. I'm probably gonna put it together this weekend, and then I can put it in there. So hopefully I can grow some stuff, because I don't know. I'm doubtful of my green thumb, but I think it'll be okay. We're gonna see.
Hey, I killed the plant people told me couldn't die, so I don't think you can do worse than me.
Yeah, that's true. I also want to make sure we talk about this weekend. There is a Saturdays with Renee live happening tomorrow at Express New York, 54 Halsey Street, Newark, New Jersey. My bad. So it's live from Newark. Saturdays with Renee. She'll be there. It'll begin at 11 a.m. It'll be Jared Mutimi. Is that how you say his name? Ntume, Geechee, Renee, for our first show with a live audience. There's no charge for the event, but we do ask that you consider making a donation to support the event costs, travel, and the host. The seats are limited, so be sure to RSVP ahead of time, and then you can pay what you can when you RSVP. And if you're not in the area, you can donate like to our Patreon or directly to BLM Media. And you can also go to the website and donate. You also can do it like while they're live too, like with the super chats and stuff.
Yeah, y'all should have donated enough that I could buy a ticket and be out there. That's why I'm missing the super chats. Y'all super chats are supposed to, I'm looking at these Google flights right now. Y'all super chats ain't come through.
We're gonna have to
I completely forgot about that. Thank you. Yeah, that drive. Buy my gas then. That's still as much as a flight at this point with the war.
Chitty Macho said plant stores will be packed this weekend. It's when it's safe to plant in the ground and not have any more frost to kill the plant. That makes sense. I'm definitely gonna be planting some stuff this weekend. I got some seeds, so I'm gonna plant them in the little raised flower bed thing. We're gonna see what happens.
Well, I'm excited for Saturdays with Renee. Thank you, Amber, for bringing that
Live.
up. Love what we got going on. Go take my boy for a walk. Thank y'all for joining us, Friday Remix. Lorik, Amber, to you, like Chairman Fred Hampton used to say, we say peace if you're willing to fight for it, and we'll catch you next time.
Black Liberation Media is a collective of Black and African organizers, journalists, academics, and media personalities serving Black and African masses seeking to further grow in their understanding of themselves, their histories, and the African world through entertainment and news. Please continue to like, subscribe, and donate to the channel so we can further serve you and liberate our people. You can also go to blkliberationmedia.org, get some merchandise, and also become a Patreon member and a member from the YouTube. Please do what you can, share, and show your love as we will show ours for you. Black Liberation Media.